Hi, good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Welcome to this session of our Ask Me Any Stock session. I think some of you have already joined us and you're early. Thank you so much, guys, for being patient. And let's get started right now. Welcome to this Ask Me Any Stock session. And today we'll be talking about the US market. Right, just type a GM for good morning, guys. Let me know if this is working. You can see my screen. You can hear me loud and clear as well. All right, and you can see my face as well. All right, this type of GM for good morning. Let's see who is joining us here today on this Friday. Let's see. Okay, we have Dixon. Hi, good morning, Dixon. Hi, Chester. Good morning. Andy, VC. Hi, good morning as well. Colleen. Let's see who is here. Good morning as well. David, welcome, guys. Welcome to our weekly Friday AMAS session. I think some of you are already typing in the US stocks that you want a quick opinion on, right? Good morning, Lianka. Hi, Max. Hi, Happy Go Lucky. Edward, good morning. Max, you're asking about Amazon. Let's see if you can cover that later. All right, let's see. We have a Dixon asking about a few stocks as well. Okay, so later we'll come to that step by step, guys. So welcome. All right, would it be okay, guys, if you help us to like and share, this live show? All right, right now we are live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Seems like everything's working fine. So just help us like and share. You can reach out to more people. Okay, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well if you have not yet done so. So I think there should be like a bell icon somewhere at the top. Click on it, subscribe, so that when we go live in the future, you will be alerted as well. Thank you for all the heart shapes. Thank you so much for those of you who are hitting the hearts button. Thank you so much. Okay, so very good, guys. Welcome to this session. And what it is about? Well, essentially every Friday since the beginning of the year, we have been doing what we call the Ask Me Any Stock session, all right? As the name of the show goes, right? Ask Me Any Stock. And we do it every Friday. We alternate between the US market and the Singapore market. So last Friday, we did Singapore. So this Friday is back to US, all right? Next Friday, back to Singapore, right? So Singapore, US, every Friday, 10:30 a.m., we'll go live, right? So that's what we've been doing for the past 5-6 months already. And how it works is this: we'll do a quick market outlook, right? We'll look at some of the key indexes, right? Like the S&P 500 index, even the Dow Jones, right? Just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what has happened over the past 1 month, right? Past 1 to 2 weeks as well. What some of the factors affecting the market, and also what some of the key levels you want to take note of, right? Can we see more upside, right? Where are some of the new targets, or perhaps there could be weakness? You want to be careful, right? So that's exactly what we'll be covering as well, right? And of course, after that, we'll dive into the stocks, the US stocks that you guys want covered as well. So later when you type the name of the US stocks in the chat, what happens is that you want to give us a little bit of a context, all right? Yes, the word is context, right? So give us a bit of context, right? Don't just put like Amazon there, but Amazon, right? I bought it like 1 week ago at this price. Is it signs of it moving up? A bit of context, not just one Apple there or Microsoft, but a bit of context. Like, are you looking to get it? Are you looking to buy? I don't know, right? So a bit of context, so that when we advise, when we analyze, when we give you a quick opinion, we are better able to answer based on the context you have given. Does it make sense? All right. Okay, so that is what we'll cover, the US stocks for today. And of course, at the end, all right, there'll be 2 US stocks that we'll share with you guys. So today is just me and Z, all right, because Bervin has some national service duties, right? So he can't join us today. So only me and Z today, but no risk, still good stuff, all right? At the end, me and Z will each share with you two of us, right? So yeah, total 2 US stocks that you can put in your watch list at the end, because we think that there could still be more bullishness ahead. Targets could be even revised higher. So you want to put these stocks in the watch list for potential long position. Okay, so let's get started right now, right? So let me just go ahead to share with you, right? So if you are kind of like scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, joining us, welcome to this session, guys. Almost 100 of you joining us here today. So my name is Joey Choi, top tier reminder trader in Philip Securities. I've been doing this for more than a decade, in fact more than 15 years now. Focusing on the Singapore stock market, the US stock market, a little bit of Hong Kong as well. That's my forte. So mainly on stocks. If you are looking at stocks, whatever stocks, all right, NVDA, Apple, DBS, any stocks, you're in the right place. But today, as I say, we are focusing on US stocks, right? But if you're looking at stocks, you are in the right place. So I've been doing this for more than a decade now, right? One of the top brokers in Philip Securities. I have a team with me as well, assisting our clients. And I also do conduct trainings as well, all right, whereby I teach, impart my knowledge on my strategy. I call this strategy the one good trend strategy. In short, it's one GT, right? So if you want to find a little bit more about the entire strategy and all that, today we don't have time to cover the whole strategy and break it down for you, right? But you want to find out a bit more on that, Z can put the link in the chat, all right? So you can attend one of those free webinars that we have maybe about 2 weeks time or something like that, all right? Attend a free webinar. That's where I'll break it all down for you in terms of my one good trend strategy and also how we actually analyze stocks, right? How we use a tool or like an indicator. I call it the one good trend pro indicator, whereby, later we'll go through your stocks, right? And we pull it out and we get an opinion in seconds, all right? Whether to buy or sell, whether to wait or to hold or don't buy or, that kind of thing, right? So we're going to do that later, all right? So pretty much that's what will happen. Link is in the chat. Attend one of those free webinars, all right, webcasts to learn a bit more on my strategy. So yeah, this is me, all right. I've been doing this for more than a decade now, and with me today, all right, as I say, is Bervin, all right, Bervin, who has been joining us for our AMAS Friday weekly session. Today you can join us because it's on reservist, but I have Z here with me as well. Z today is joining me. So Z is also one of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities, assisting our broking clients, running our group coaching sessions as well. We are graduates, running our one-on-one sessions with our mentees, assisting our team's portfolio manager as well. And Z, who is also a chartered market technician, all right, is pretty much an expert in anything to do with charts, candlestick, prices, all right, of course, with my one good trend strategy as well, right? So maybe I'll just pass on the mic to Z to share a little bit of myself and how on today as well. Go ahead, Z.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone. For those who are here for the first time, hi, my name is Z. Yeah, like what Joey mentioned, I'm a big fan of charts, right? Got my chartered last year in 2024. Basically, the thing is that I really like looking at charts, but the key thing is I don't like to make my chart look too complicated, right? Too many indicators and everything like that, because then that's when, sometimes you might get a bit of analysis paralysis. You don't really know what to focus on. So very often you will see myself and also with Joey and Bervin as well, right? We always use this 1GT Pro indicator, and that's definitely one of my go-to for spotting strong trending stocks, right? Without all the noise, because it's very simple. With a click of a button, you can get a very quick opinion with a bullish or bearish signal, and as well as the trailing support and trailing resistance and things like that, whereby it will help you make a decision quicker in terms of whether should you even look at the stocks or not. All right. So without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z, for doing a quick introduction. All right, so Z is an expert in chart. Later, you'll see what I mean when she analyzes your US stocks. All right, okay, so just a quick disclaimer, guys. The usual disclaimer that we share in our live show, all right, standard stuff. Well, this whole entire live session is just for education purposes only. All right, so please do your own due diligence when we go through your US stocks. It's really not to ask you to buy or sell or to do anything, right? But just to give you guys a quick opinion as well, right? So please do a little bit of homework, a bit of a due diligence check as well. All right, and this is pretty much the standard disclaimer that we will share. All right, okay, so let's get started right now, and we can look at the markets, right? How many of you want me to just go through the markets right now? This type of M, guys, in the chat. If you want me to go through the markets and specifically the S&P 500 index, just type M in the chat. If you want me to do that, let me know. Good morning, Styler. Good to see you here every Friday as well. So I think a lot of you are familiar with this entire session, right? So those of you, as I say, if you're just joining us right now, you have no idea what it is. We are looking at stocks, US stocks. You're in the right place. My name is Joey. I'm Z over here, and we'll be going through your US stocks in just a bit. All right. But let's see, right? Who is asking about the market, right? We have Dixon, M. What about the rest of you? Are you guys looking at the market today, or you want a quick opinion on the market? This type of M, let me know. All right, and I'll just go through some of the stocks that you guys are already asking about. Let me just see. All right. Okay, very good. Okay, let's go ahead to look at the S&P 500 index right now. So what do you guys think about the market? I mean, before I share my view on the market, right, let me know, guys, do you think the market is more bullish or bearish? Maybe just type U for up, D for down. All right, if you think it's more bullish, type U for up. If you think it's more down, more bearish, then type D for down, right? So U or D. Type in the chat. Let's do a quick survey. Let's make it a bit more interactive, guys. You think it's a bit more up, a bit more down, right? In the next slide. 1, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months? More up or more down? Let's see, right? So Emily, you're saying that it is more up. Dixon, you up. You, John, VC up. Jared up as well. Let's see, a lot of you are saying that it's up. Fiona, you, ABC, you, Harish, you as well. So up, 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 up. Very good, right? So I think up means more bullish, right? Not really down. All right, you can see that we have staged a pretty good reversal right now. So this is the S&P 500 index, one of the most popular index that tracks the top 500 companies in the US. All right, so we are now at 6,280, right? 6,280 points. Pretty good, right? So if you have been following me, guys, over the past few AMAS sessions whereby we talk about the market, I mentioned about this very critical level. Let me just write it down again. The 6,150. Look at this right over here. 6150. So you can watch the replays on our YouTube as well. But this 6150, guys, I mentioned that we have been touching it since December. And we came down. Look at this, right? We neared it and came down. We just couldn't pass 6150. And just about a month back, we neared it and we were still below 6150. So I mentioned that, if we break 6150 or maybe a bit of allowance, the 6,200, that is where potentially more upside can happen. There'll be more bullish momentum that can happen. And true enough, right? It seems like we're finally, over the past 1 over week, right? Broken the 6150 and also the 6,200 psychological resistance level. So my take right now is that I feel that we are pretty bullish. We are pretty bullish right now, right? Because we have breached to a new record high. All right, we have breached the resistance level whereby we have been trading below for about 7 to 8 months. Finally, right, sellers gave way, right? You can go up now, and buyers have regained control, right? So that's why we are a little bit more bullish. And this psychological resistance level, I would say that we can turn it into a new horizontal support. So from red now, let me just change it to become green in color, right? I think anything above 6150 to maybe above that 6,200, it looks pretty bullish, right? Let's take a look at what we call the longer term trend. So you can see, right, the red and the blue line, the 100 days moving average red line, and the blue line, which is the 200 days moving average. Since like 2023, we have been in a longer term uptrend, right? Because the red is above the blue and both of these two lines are pointing up, right? But however, somewhere around like February, March, April, with Trump talking about tariffs and all that, the market sold off, right? It escalated with China, right? 145% or 125%, right? Tit for tat war. Market sold off, right? From 6,150 all the way to 5,000, right? And that's where we started to see the longer term trend turn a little bit sideways with the red and blue kind of like flattening out, right? Kind of like flattening out. So I think right now you can see that the red and blue, well, the red is still below the blue, so slightly not so good, but potentially what I can say is that if we stay above 6,002 and stuff, this 100 days moving average, the red line, will eventually cross back above the blue line, and that will give another confirmation of the longer term trend turning from sideways to up. All right, so I think that is what is going to happen, I would say, right? That is exactly what is going to happen if prices were to stay above the 6,200 in the next few weeks. All right, let's take a look at the short-term trend. So for the short-term trend, guys, you can see that the green 20 days moving average line, right? So we look at the green line. So very simple. When the green line is pointing down, all right, then you want to be careful. It means the short-term trend is down, right? You don't want to rush it because it go down. Not for 1 week, 2 weeks, or for like 2 months. We go down with all the Trump tariffs in April, right? Went all the way down. But then the green 20 days moving average line started to point up. Is it still up right now? Just type in the chat, guys. Type in the chat Y for yes if you can see that the green 20 days moving average line is still up. Type Y for yes if you can see that this green 20 days moving average line, it is still pointing up. Let me know, right? So a little bit of strategy, right? A little bit of strategy part, all right? Just to share with you guys before we go a little bit faster on your US stocks. So let's see, right? Linka, Dixon, why? Yes. Very good. So I would say that the short-term trend is still up. All right, thank you so much, Jean, Colleen. Ida, Jared, why? Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, definitely, like the green line obviously is still pointing up. I think the short-term trend is still up. Prices or the market S&P 500 index is still above it. So I think the short-term trend is up as well. So my take is simple, right? I think it's still very bullish, right? As long as stay above 6150 to 6200, that there's more bullishness ahead. We could see targets being revised maybe to like 6500 or even 6,400 as well. That could be the next upside targets. Maybe about 6,500. I can just put it right over here. I think about 6,500. It might just consolidate. How do I get 6,500? Well, let me just go to do a little bit of a projection. You can see, right? We can use the consolidation phase previously. Look at this. It was a bit of consolidation. Same thing, consolidation here. You can project it up a little bit, and there we go. Somewhere around 6,500 or 6,450. Potentially, we may see some profit taking coming back again, right? So that's what we call the new upside targets, just based on the most recent consolidation. And if I can quickly turn on, so what I've done right now, guys, you can see that I've analyzed this market. I mean, I could do it on any stock as well, but I've analyzed and break down this stock in a very way whereby it's very manual, right? Step by step, I look at the trend, I draw some of the key price levels whereby we broke through, it became from a resistance to a new support level. But what happens is that I have this indicator right over here. As I say, this is the One Good Trend Pro indicator. Find a bit more, attend one of those free webinars. I don't have time to explain to you everything, but let me go to turn it on right now. And I can actually click a button, right? Turn on the buy and sell signals in second. Let me show you what I mean. 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. And there we go. So this is the market, right? So now you can see that we actually have a few bullish and bearish signals coming out, right? In fact, since I'll not go too far up, but I mean each time you got a bullish signal, all the way up, another bullish signal, all the way up. Of course, when you get bearish signal, you want to be careful, right? We got 2 bearish signal in March and February. That was even before the April Trump reciprocal tariffs that was announced, right? And there we go, you want to buy, good luck to you, right? We don't buy when you see a bearish signal, right? You want to be careful. Plus, the green line, as I say, was actually turning down. Then as another confirmation, right? So you want to be careful. However, somewhere around like 29 April, end of April, well, we got a 1 GT bullish signal coming out. As I say, this is a signal whereby, I could just turn it on and off, right over here, off it, on it, and there we go, right? So of course, we were alerted as well for that reversal move, whereby, the green bullish signal came out. Of course, the green 20 days moving average line that was going up also started to turn up. And the key here is that over the past 1-2 weeks, we got another 1 GT bullish signal also coming out. And then we went a little bit higher. Does it make sense so far? All right. So I think it looks pretty bullish, right? We got not one, but we got 2 1 GT bullish signal, all right, whereby, we're still holding above the support level. We got another confirmation that's a bit more bullish. And if I can quickly turn on what I call the trailing support line. So one very good feature of the One Good Trend indicator is that I have this trailing support line right over here. You can see, right? When we got the first 1 GT bullish signal, we got this trailing support line that pops up. Look at this. Up, follow, up, flat, up, flat. It trails. It follows the price of a stock, or it follows the market. In this case, this is the S&P 500 index, right? It follows the market as it moves higher, but it gives it space to breathe. It accounts for the volatility, right? And it follows it. Now, obviously, you can see that we're still above the trailing support line, and of course above the horizontal support line that I've drawn, right? So the trailing support line is slightly lower. You can see, I think somewhere around the 6,100. Why is it lower? Well, as I say, give it space, right? You don't follow too closely. Give it space to breathe. It accounts for the market movement and a bit of a volatility as well. So it's slightly lower. So as long as you stay above the trailing support line and the horizontal support line, another confirmation that is a little bit more bullish. So anything above 6150, or maybe now you say 6100, which is where the trailing support is that account for the space, I think it is more bullish. Targets could be maybe all the way from here all the way to about 6,500. I think that's where some profit taking can come back again. All right, so this is the S&P 500 index. I've pretty much done a little bit of a breakdown. All right, I think it still looks pretty bullish above these key support level. So let's take a look at the Dow Jones right now. So very quickly, let's take a look at the Dow Jones very quickly. Okay, let me just go to turn off some of those signals. So I'll just go to turn on very quickly my 1 GT Pro indicator. So I'll not go through all the signals, but you can see, right? I mean, you can see for yourself, every time we get a bearish signal, you want to be careful. That was in like February, right? We got a bearish signal and it starts going down, down, down. from like 45,000 all the way to like 38, 39,000. And then we got a bullish signal, it starts going back up again. All right. So you want to put your attention to this very key level right now, guys. The 45,000. Look at this, guys. This is a very key. So you can see S&P 500 index, we have broken a key resistance, all right, the 6150 to 6,200. We are pretty much at a record high. So if you turn on your news article, right, wow, S&P record high, led by NVDA, it's a $4 trillion surge in market value, blah, 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 right? So that's all the news flow, because when the market hit a new high, a lot of analysts will cover, a lot of reporters will cover as well, right? So that is the S&P 500 index, even the NASDAQ. But for Dow Jones, almost, right? This 45,000, you can see, right, is where we were since November. We have like touched it over here and then came down and then touch here, touch. We got bearish signal, it starts coming down, right? So we are very near that 45,000, 45,000. In fact, we're just below it. Now it's 44,650, about 300 over points more we'll reach already, right? So just take note, guys. I think, it's a very key level, all right? We're still below it. It's normal to see a bit of profit taking below it. I think it's fine. But look at this, right? As I say, we got a bullish signal. The short-term trend is turning up. Longer-term trend still sideways, which is okay. But if we can break the 45,000, I tell you guys, that would be a new momentum as well. Targets could be revised higher, all right, based on this consolidation previously. We could see targets being revised, right, all the way maybe towards that 48,000, right, after that 45,000, right? So you can set some alerts, right? I think so far we're still 350 points away from it, but just watch the market. I think over the next few weeks, right? Next 1, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe next 1 month, that level is key. If you can reach that level, I think it could be a new upside momentum phase whereby we could see even more bullishness in the Dow Jones specifically. Okay, Ken. So that is kind of like the markets. That's kind of like the markets, right? How many of you are a little bit clearer as to the market? Just type of C, guys, for clear. Let me know if you are clear as to the markets. Let me know, right? Type C for clear if you are a bit clearer as to how is the market. Am I more bullish or bearish? Should you be more cautious? Okay, Melina, clear. M, clear as well. Awesome, clear. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so what are some of the news flow that's happened? So we have talked about the technical levels, right, as to why the market is like pushing up, it broke certain resistance and all that. But what are some of the news flow that came out whereby we started to see that reversal? So I think one of the news flow will be the tariffs, right? Of course, now I can see that there's ongoing deals. There's ongoing deals being made between US and other countries like Japan and Korea. I think they upped the tariffs for Japan and Korea, even for Malaysia as well. Of course, there's still ongoing negotiation now, right? Still ongoing. And I think even for Brazil, there's like a 50% tariffs. So on and off. And Trump actually delayed kind of like the deadline on 9 July, all right, to 1st of August, all right, whereby they will give a bit more time to some of those countries while negotiations are still ongoing. So I think in terms of these tariffs, since April, right, whereby he was very aggressive, he just suddenly, announced the reciprocal tariffs from 30, 40, 50 over percent. Of course, in China, it escalated all the way to 100 over percent. That was like very aggressive, right? But now you can see that it has more or less been priced in. People are a little bit more, kind of like absorb that news on tariffs. It's kind of like a tactic for him to, just announce it high and then negotiate down and then come to a leeway. So I think that more or less has been priced in. So I think people, whenever there's news about tariffs, I think people are like shrugging off this whole entire news, and the market is, in fact, turning even more bullish in that sense, right? So I think mainly due to China and US trade war tensions cooling off as well. I think that was one of the main factors. It sold off heavily as well. That has kind of like cooled off, and now it's like focusing on other countries whereby it is still ongoing regarding the deals. All right. So I think that is the reason why the market is more bullish for now. Okay, so very good. So now let me go ahead, guys. Let's go ahead to talk about the stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So as I say, guys, welcome. If you're just joining us, I've pretty much covered the markets, the S&P 500 index, and also the Dow Jones, right? The Dow Jones. So now, very simple. We're going to go through the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on, right? So type in the chat, guys. Let me just give me a few minutes. Give me a few minutes to just go through very quickly the stocks. I'll just pick one stock for beginning. Then I'll pass on the mic to Z. So today it's just two of us, right? Just two of us. So very simple, Me and Z. We just pass to each other, and we just go through very quickly the US stocks, maybe about 15, 16 over stocks. We try our best. So first thing first, guys. Our apologies if we cannot cover all the stocks, all right? I think each time there's like 50 or 60 over stocks. We can't cover all of them, right? Sorry, I don't really no time to cover everything. Okay, so our apologies for that. Okay, let me go to see some of the stocks, right? Let's see. So this time to check, guys, time to check. Okay, let me just go ahead to pull out, let's take a look at the stock, right? Kunaf. Hi, Kunaf, good to see you here as well. I bought Micron at 95 cents and sold some at $1.28. Congrats, right? So you sold higher means you make some money, congrats. Can I hold or sell all now? Oh, so you sold some, so you still have some, is it? Okay, very good. Let's take a look and see Micron, M-I-C-R-O-N, right? Micron, right? Let's take a look. Micron Technology. Right, so 95, Micron, 95 cents, is it 95? I mean, $95, right? I think maybe it's a typo error. So 95 to 128, right? I think maybe not cents, okay, maybe it's $95. But this is Micron, right over here, the very first stock for tonight. Let's go ahead to see how it looks, right? So this is Micron. Well, I would say that for Micron, well, we have this. Okay, let me just go to turn off this, some of those bullish and bearish signals. You can see that this is where I would say for Micron, we actually have been consolidating below this pretty critical resistance level since like August last year, almost a year. Look at this, right? We kind of like, near it. Many times you can see touch it, came down for like 5-6 times. We cannot get above that 115 to 110 kind of a resistance level. So that's a very key resistance level. And finally, we have breached this resistance level whereby we have been trading below for 1 year, right? So I think it's a bit more bullish, right? A bit more bullish for now. You sold some at 128. Okay, very good. So you sold some near the 128, 130 resistance. I think that's fine. Can I hold or sell all now? Well, I think it's good to take some partial profits. Nothing wrong because we have seen quite a very good bullish reversal from like 70 to 80. You can see that we have rebounded all the way up 70% in about 3-4 months. So I think it's a very, very good rally. So now let me go to turn on my 1GT Pro indicator in terms of the bullish and bearish signals. But okay, let me just go to draw another psychological resistance here. All right, another resistance here at about 130, and then 130 for now. We are 123, right? So 130 is a psychological resistance level. So you can quickly turn on the bullish and bearish signals, right, from the 1GT, the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So you can see since July last year, well, we got bearish signals. Look at this, right? We got bearish signals. It starts coming down. A couple of bearish signals from like 110 and it goes down all the way. So as I say, if you get bearish signals, just want to be a bit more careful, especially if the short-term trend is also turning down and the longer-term trend obviously is down as well, right? So yeah, we got some bullish. It went up a bit, but sellers came back and pushed it even lower. So let's go to see what has happened over the past, like, 2-3 months since May. Wow. So in May, guys, you can see, right, we got a 1GT bullish signal. The green 20 days moving average line that was kind of like going down and down and down started to slope up as well. Is it still sloping up? Well, I think it's still kind of like sloping up a little bit. So I think still quite okay. If I can quickly turn on the trailing support line, one of the very powerful feature of the 1GT Pro indicator, you can see that this trailing support right over here. Oh, you can see, right? It is it's kind of like hidden by this line, which I drawn, right, about the 113, right? So let me just go to turn this. So this was a resistance, and now it became a support level. So let me just go to draw this as kind of like a support level. You can see something like this over here. So I think anything above this trailing support over here, let me just remove this, right? Anything above like the 113, 115, it still looks okay. Right? I think we're just pretty much consolidating, taking a little bit of a breather. This bullish signal is still in play. We are still above the trailing support. Longer term trend, look at the red and blue, all right? There are signs of the longer term trend turning up as well. If the red were to go above the blue, especially if the 130 resistance gives way, I think that's where we could see some confirmation that the longer term trend has turned from a little bit sideways to up, right? To up, and that would be a further positive. So I think it looks okay. Anything above that 115, I think is quite okay. If you can break 130, that's where I feel that targets could be revised even higher from 130 all the way to 160. Pretty much the previous high where we neared it previously, right over here. That's where we could potentially see some selling again, right? So this is Micron, 115 to 130 for now. It looks okay above 115. If 130 gives way, more upside can happen. All right, so that would be for Micron, right? So I hope, Kunal, that answers your questions. All right, whether you can hold or sell some. I think it's okay to take some partial profit near 130. You sold at 128, 129, 127, no problem. Good. hold some as well if you want, all right, but have a plan to protect your profits, all right. Make sure you have a plan. For example, if you have to go back down below the trailing support, normally when you plan to just reduce some exposure, you don't want to hold all the way back down, all right, Ken. So let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock. Z, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I saw in the chat a couple of you guys was asking about Amazon, right? For example, like Max is asking about Amazon. Winkit is also asking about Amazon, right? Looking to buy. Should I wait for a pullback? If yes, what level? So let's take a look at Amazon right now. Okay, so actually this stock, right? As you can see, some of the levels I've already drawn them because this stock we just covered this stock yesterday with some of our clients as well. So I left the drawings there. So we don't have to pull back so far, right? We just maybe take a look at about 1 year. That's more than sufficient, right? Maybe 2024. And we can actually see that, Amazon from 2024 all the way, right, to somewhere in October, it was actually trading, in this range like that, right? And it is very clear that this level right over here, which is a $200 psychological level, prices nearly it. Every time it neared it, right? That's when, selling pressure is there to actually, to keep the prices down, right? And prices is unable to break above it for a good couple of months, right? From January all the way to November. And we know that this $200 is actually a psychological resistance. But of course, after that, somewhere in November, it broke above it, retested it again, as a support level, went all the way up to about 240. Then that's where we saw two bearish 1 GT signal. Like what Joey has mentioned earlier on, right? When we see bearish signal, that's where you want to be a bit more cautious, right? Because you can see that, subsequently, price tested the 240 psychological resistance, two bearish signal came out and price went all the way down to retest the 160 support again. So it's very clear that right now, yesterday price closed at 222, right? 222, nice number, Then the support level right now, would be the $200, right? Would be at the $200. Why? Because like I've mentioned previously, it was actually a resistance, right? Turned to become what we call a support. And now it is still a support as price is actually above the $200 psychological level. And immediate resistance would be at about 240, right? Like we've seen here, selling pressure came back, profit taking happened, right? So now price is, somewhere in between this 200 to 240. So for Winkit, right, you are thinking of looking to buy into Amazon. So the thing is that when we are thinking about buying, we want to make sure that, we are on the right side of the trend, right? So we will look at the moving averages to determine the trend. And I think I saw one question earlier on by, was it Shah? Yeah, by Shah. He said, green days, how many days? Green MA is how many days, right? So the green line that you see here is actually 20 days, right? 20 days. This green line, and it signifies a short-term trend. So we use this 20 days green line as 20 days for short-term trend gauge. All right. So currently for Amazon, we do see that the green line has started to point up, since the low in April, right? And it is still actually pointing up. So short-term strength, great, right? Then let's take a look at the longer-term trend. Longer-term trend, there is the red line and the blue line. The red line is currently still, a bit pointing down, starting to show some signs of it flattening out a bit, but hoping that, I hope that it can flatten out even more and shows more signs of it slightly gently pointing up, right? And the blue line is actually pointing up. So that is also great, right? And we do see not one, but 1 GT bullish signal coming out. And currently there is still no exits yet, right? So we can actually turn on, this function, the trailing support and resistance function, like what Joey has showed you guys earlier, right? I just click a button, turn it on, and right now I can see that, all these green and red shaded areas, right? All these are the trailing resistance and trailing support. And at this point in time, price is actually above the trailing support, right? The trailing support is currently, at this level about 208 to about close to 210, right? And price is above trailing support, which is a good thing, right? Which is a good thing. And one way that we can potentially position ourselves for entry is to position ourselves for entry near a support, right? Near a support, because that's where we know that potentially that's where buyers can come in to support the price. So to make use of this 1GT Pro indicator effectively with the use of this trailing support function, then one way you can actually take a look at would be, around close to this level. Let me just draw it for you guys. Around this level, right? This is actually near the trailing support, right? This maybe about 210 to about 215. This is where we can potentially set some price alert. So let me just very quickly set some price alert as well, okay? Right click, add alert. And this is for Amazon, right? Maybe let me set the alert at, let's say, 215, right? Every time. And let's click create. So that actually created a alert, right, for Amazon. If prices were to retrace back to this 215 level, I will be alerted. And that's where we can potentially take a look at this stock again to position ourselves for entry near the support zone, right? Near the support zone. And of course, like I've mentioned, right, price immediate resistance now is at about 240. So I would not be surprised, if price, approach the 240 again, and that's where, some profit taking and some selling pressure can actually return. But of course, do remember for any stock that you're deciding to enter, do have a trading plan in place, right? Don't just think about buying. You also need to think about your downside, okay? And make sure to have your downside covered by placing a stop limit order as well. All right. So that will be a very quick one for Amazon, some of the levels that perhaps you can take note of. Now, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Very good. So let me go ahead to talk about the next stock, right? Next stock, very quickly, I already turned on the one good trend pro indicator. So you can see some bullish and bearish signals, right? So what is this stock? Well, I think Chloe, right? Also, thank you so much, guys. I think a lot of you are already typing in the chat your US stocks, but I could see very clearly that it's not just one name there. It's a bit of context. So all of you are doing that very good, like what price to sell, looking to hold, thinking to get out, don't know what price to get out, that kind of thing. So at least when we give you an opinion, we have a better idea on how to answer your question. So very good. Keep it up. All right. I think we'll give a bit more priority if you type a bit of context rather than just put one word over there, one name over there. All right. Okay. SOFI Technology. Chloe Wong, right? I hope you're still here. Sorry, right? SOFI. Time to sell or can hold for more upside. Okay, that means you already bought already, right? Not too sure what price you bought, but you are probably holding and you're thinking whether to sell or maybe don't sell first, maybe sell a bit. Maybe can go up some more, make more money, right? Let's find out. Okay, so this is SOFI Technology. So you can see very quickly, guys, as I say, based on this indicator that I have, I can turn it on and off, and then we get to see get a quick opinion in seconds, right? Off it, on it. Normally we turn it on, so you can see straight away, all right? A bit lazy, so you just turn it on, you can see. So well, I think this stock is quite okay. Why? I mean, we have a couple of bullish. I'll not go too far, but I think somewhere over here in October last year, we got the bullish signal, and then it start to go all the way up 105%. Wow, in 2 months, all right, and then we got the bearish, start going sideways, and then bearish signal, you want to be careful, don't go and buy, all right. I mean, you can see go down, 1, 2, 3, 4 bearish, you go and buy, then good luck to you, you'll be stuck, all right. So don't go and buy, all right. Wait, be patient, right? Be patient about what? Or be patient until the bullish signal come out, Then right over here, once the bullish signal comes out, and of course the green 20 days moving average line that was going down as the bearish signal came out, all right, down. Start to point up also. That's where you can open your eyes and start to think about getting in, all right. Don't get in as it's going down and down. You get in. You're like stuck as it goes down. Does it make sense? All right. So we got a bullish signal. So I'm not too sure exactly where you bought, Chloe, but if you have access to this tool, all right, and you got in like maybe about 12 or 13 or $14, good I think based on this bullish signal, it's about 69% in about 2 months. So pretty good, right? So we got the first bullish signal, and then we got another 3 more bullish signal coming, and then it went even faster. All right. So let's take a look at where we right now. So I will say that right now, let me go ahead to draw this very key resistance at about $18. So $18 was a previous level whereby we were consolidating below it from November all the way to January, right? And of course, got some bearish signal and it starts going down. So over the past 2 weeks, finally, we have gone above the $18. I mean, now it's like $20 over dollars. So in fact, we've gone above 18 and we even breached what we call the $20 psychological resistance level as well. So this stock looks bullish to me. Right? So I think back to your question, right? Is it time to sell or can hold more? I mean, for more upside? Well, I would say that, normally when a stock is bullish, we want to try. So I'm not too sure exactly what price is bought, right? But as I said, normally when the stock is bullish, we want to not cut our profits short. We want to allow the gains to ride, right? To maximize our profits. Does it make sense? Rather than, you cut and then it goes up some more, right? So we want to maximize our profits and we want to let it play out more and more and more until, right? Not forever and just leave it and don't care, right? We want to let it play out until there are signs of weakness, whereby there are signs of it maybe coming back down, there are signs of it, the trend turning from up to down. Yes, then we want to get out, but then we will maximize our profits. But right now, I feel that it still looks pretty bullish because we got 3 bullish signals. The green 20 days moving average line, obviously, it is still pointing up. The red and blue, you can see still slightly sloping up. I think the longer term trend is starting to form up as well as we hold above that $18 to $20. All right. And another thing is that we could also turn on the trailing support, right? Trailing support based on this 1GT Pro indicator. You can see, right? The trailing support that formed right over here in April. Up, flat, follow. And you can see right over here, it's also where the $18 support level is. This $18, as I say, it was a resistance level. So yeah, it kind of like coincides with this trailing support level. So anything above 18, I think we are still okay. We're still okay. All right, we're still okay. You can let it ride. And what you could do is to have a stop loss plan. So, most of the time when we talk to our mentees and our graduates, like, so some people say you want to hold for more upside, good, right? But hold for more upside doesn't mean you just hold forever, and then when there are signs of it coming down, there's a bearish signal coming, and then you hold all the way down. No, right? That's not what we're talking about, holding blindly, right? Hold with a plan, all right? That means, if you continue riding up, great, all right? You protect your profits, you can raise your stop loss, you can put the stop loss kind of like below this $18, you can put like maybe below 18, you can put like 17. Let me show you, like, for example, you could put a stop loss below 18, right? Maybe about 1780, 1770, just to give a little bit of a allowance in case it breaks 18, you get out, right? You still make money, assuming you've got in over here, right? And if the price were to go up even higher, well, you can raise your stop loss even higher. So that's what I mean by holding, but holding with a plan, holding with the strategy of protecting your profits while holding, right? Not hold all the way back down when you see a bearish signal. Does it make sense? Right. So I think it looks pretty okay. Anything above $18, it looks pretty positive, right? If we can break maybe a bit of consolidation below the $22 resistance, maybe a bit of consolidation, I think that will be healthy as well. It's a bit too fast really. So it consolidates below 22 to 20, maybe up, down for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then right? It breaks 22 and it goes even higher. I think that will be more positive and more sustainable in terms of the uptrend. Okay, guys. So that is for SOFI technology. All right, for Chloe. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'm looking at is actually AMZN, right, by Edward. Let me just take a look at this. Okay, so I'm not too sure what this stock actually does, but I believe it's a technology stock as per the name. So okay, so based on this, right, once I take a look at the chart, right, the first thing that we can very clearly tell is where the supports and the resistance level are. Right, because first thing first, you see that I don't have to go too back, right? Just back in like 2024, just about 1 year gauge, you can actually see that prices since 2024 all the way to 2025, right, has just been really trading in a range, right? And it has always just been hitting the bottom, hitting the top, which is a support and a resistance, right? So very clearly this level right over here, about 124 to 125, this is where we always see, like, that's where buyers actually came in to support the prices multiple times, right? It tested multiple times. And of course, when it is actually near this level, about 155, right? 155, this level, this is where, selling pressure actually returned when prices neared it, right? Again, same thing right over here at the start of the year in January. So it's very clear that these two levels right now, they are some of the key levels that you might want to take note of, right, for Edward, especially near the 124 to 125, and the other next resistance is near the 155, right, near the 155. And you are saying that you are looking to buy, can it rally to 150? Okay, let's take a look at what happened very recently. Right, so as of yesterday, I believe price closed at 124, right? So it seems like it is actually testing the resistance right now. And if I were to zoom in a little bit and we take a look at this particular candlestick, right? When we see a candlestick with a very long upper shadow, what does it tell you? It tells you that the selling pressure is relatively strong, right, on that particular day, which is yesterday, because it means that, buyers push the price all the way up. But then somewhere throughout the trading session, right, selling pressure came back and pushed the price all the way down. That's why we actually get a long upper shadow. And when such things happen near a resistance, we know that that resistance is pretty strong. So I would say it will be good for us to monitor for the next couple of days or even like next week or so, right, to see whether price can actually, break and indeed confirm hold above this 124, 125 level before taking further action, before thinking about taking further actions, right? And the other thing that I would like to monitor, let me just clear this first. Okay, the other thing I also like to monitor, right, is for the trend, right? For the trend, because like what we always mention, we want to be on the same side as the trend, right? Short-term trend-wise, I don't have to talk about it. We all can see that the green line has been pointing up. We also get a 1 GT bullish signal on the 9th of June. But in terms of the longer-term trend-wise, the red and the blue line, right now it is still kind of like pointing down, right? So I would like to have more confirmation in terms of, you know, the red and the blue line to at least have some sort of stabilization, at least not to continue to point out, right? At least, you know, at least stabilize a bit, you know, and then that gives you more confirmation if the price can break and hold above the 124, 125 level. And we are seeing that the long-term trend has started to stabilize and showing some signs of it pointing up. That would be even better, right? That would be even better. That acts as another layer of confirmation. So in that sense, if we are looking at this right now, one of the potential strategy in terms of like, you know, looking to buy, I would say it could be a potential breakout strategy, right over here. But that being said, do remember to manage your downside, right? Like what Joey always mentioned, to manage your downside, you know, don't just think about buying, think about your downside as well. Because if prices is unable to break above, you know, it breaks above, hold above it for a couple of weeks and break down, and then what happens, right? That's where, you know, you can potentially place your stop limit order as well, you know, slightly below the 124, 125, right? Around maybe let's say 120, 121. That's also fine, right? To protect your downside if prices were to break below this level again. All right. So this is one of the stocks that, you know, I definitely, maybe I will be watching out for potential breakout, right? And set some price alert over here. And if prices can break and hold above the 125, potential upsides targets that we are looking at would be back towards the 150 and 155, like what Edward has mentioned, right? Around the 150 to 155. So this could be some of the levels that you can take note, Edward, and I hope that answer your question. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. I think that's a very popular stock that a lot of you are probably asking about. Let's see, by Grace Tong. I hope you still here, Grace. Thank you so much for asking about this stock. What about NVIDIA? All right, NVDA. Can buy now or wait? All right, can buy now or wait. So you are thinking about getting in now. So you have not bought previously. All right, so you're thinking to get in now, right? So let's find out, is it too late? Can it go even higher? Maybe it's very expensive. Maybe don't buy, right? So let's find out. So this NVIDIA right over here, guys, you can see that quickly I've already turned on my 1GD Pro indicator based on the bullish and bearish signal. Look at this. I mean, this is at a glance for the past 1-2 years. As I say, right, these two helps us because every time we got a bullish signal, it just gives us a bit more confidence to think about getting in. All the way up, 2 bullish signals, all the way up as well. All right, 2 bullish signals all the way up. And of course, when you get bearish signal, then you want to be careful. So people are always thinking about buying. You know, but how many of you agree that, you know, not just buy, get in, but, you know, get out also important. Now, this type of O, guys, just do me a favor, type O for out, guys. If you feel that getting out is important, right, in the market, right, not just in and don't know when to get out. Let me know, guys, the type of O for out. If you feel that getting out is important, all right, in the market. There's just a little bit of a, you know, to engage you guys as well, right, to make sure you guys are following me, right? Who thinks that getting out is important in the market? Let's see. We have O for out. Let's see. Chester, out. Mao, out as well. Michael, out. William, O, out. O. Colleen, O as well. Thank you so much. So I think you can agree. I mean, one thing about the stock market, or I mean, if you're trading, right, it's not just about buy, in. I mean, very easy to in. Just buy only, then leave it there. Don't care, right? But getting out is the key, because you in but don't know when to get out. Then, you know, from make money become, you know, lose money, then go down some more, then worse, right? So I think getting out is important now, right? So how do you know when to get out? Well, when you see like bearish signals, look at this, day was like in February, you know, came out, March came out, and then it go down. So it could guide you to get out, to lock in some profits, all right? And you know, don't hold all the way down, all right? And maybe to get back in again, right? To get back in again when you see a new 1GT bullish signal, all right over here. So we got a 1GT bullish signal, not last week or last month, since like April already came out already. I think, early of May, 7th of May. You can see as it really started to move up based on this bullish signal, all the way up to now, 47%, right? 47% from the first 1GT bullish signal that we were alerted from, 47% in about 2 over months. All right, so that's where, you know, it could guide you to get back in again when the time comes, not anyhow, when the time comes, all right? And of course, the green 20 days moving average line has started to turn up as well, right? So I think the green 20 days moving average line obviously is still pointing up. So let me go to see and answer this question, right? By let's see who is asking about it just now. We have Grace, right? Grace asking about it. NVIDIA, should we buy now or wait? Well, I would say that we have broken a very key resistance level. Look at this, right? The 150 is a psychological resistance level whereby we have been trading below since November, right? For about 8 months. Came down, December, January, February, March, all cannot go through. And of course, we got bearish signal and it starts going down, right? When Trump announced all these tariffs thing, right? But finally, over the past 2 weeks, right, we have breached the psychological 150 resistance whereby we just could not break above since November all the way to March, right? So that is a sign of strength. It just means that buyers are in control. We have taken out all the sellers. Buyers are prepared to buy now at higher prices. With the short-term trend still turning up, with the 1GT bullish signal still in play, obviously there's no bearish. I mean, this is what I call a bearish signal. I mean, it hasn't come out yet. I don't know when it will come out, right? But obviously, as of today, it hasn't come out yet, right? So it still looks pretty okay. All right? As long as there's no bearish signal out, the bullish signal is still in play. I think this 150 would now be a new resistance turn support level. So let me just turn this red line to a green horizontal support line, something like this. So I think anything above 150, now it's 164. Right, still okay lah. I mean, it's above 150, right? So anything above 150, I think it still looks pretty bullish. And if I can quickly turn on, as I say, the trailing support level, as I say, this trailing support, look at this, right? When we got the first 1GT bullish signal, a trailing support popped up, right? It follows NVIDIA as it move higher, right? It follow, until now we're right over here. Of course, if NVIDIA continue to go up some more, then it will continue to follow and follow it up some more. Does it make sense? That's a trailing support level. That's why I call it a green trailing support. Something like this. This is what I draw, right? This assuming that it goes up higher, right? But essentially, the fact is that we are still above, right? We're still above. In fact, it kind of like, we're still above this trailing support and even the horizontal support level. So right around the 150 or 155, I think, that's pretty much where the trailing support level is. So I think it still looks pretty bullish, right? So I think, like Grace, your question, right? Can buy now or wait? Well, I mean, of course, best if you can buy over here like that. I mean, when you got the first bullish signal, you got here 120, 130, should make money, but now it's slightly more expensive. True, all right, that's the only not so good thing, a bit more expensive. But doesn't mean it's more expensive, means it cannot go up some more, all right? Because as long as those support levels hold, all right, one thing about riding an uptrending stock is that as long as these support levels are holding, right, we are above the trailing support, it continues pushing up, the trend is all pointing up. In the longer term, in the short term as well, you can still think about getting in, all right, near the support levels for a rebound to ride the uptrend even further, all right? So that's one thing about the entire one good trend strategy. So most people have the mindset of, oh no, it's rebounded, oh, it's too expensive, all right, and I don't want to buy, I want to wait for it to come back down. But I really don't know whether you'll go back down for you to buy, because at this point it looks to be pretty bullish. So we want to have the mindset whereby even though it's more expensive, all right, we want to think about getting in on strength, all right, rather than getting in on stocks that is going down every other day and then it's cheap, and you go in because it's cheap and then it goes down some more, right? No, you want to get in on stocks which are strong, slightly more expensive, no choice, but we ride even further until there are signs of weakness, until there are signs of a reversal back down. Then you get out, right? If not, then just continue riding up. Does it make sense? All right, so that is for NVIDIA. All right, that's for NVIDIA. How many feel that this whole entire indicator is pretty powerful? You can based on a bullish signal coming out, and then you can see prices just going all the way up. And type P for powerful, guys. Let me know. Type P for powerful, guys. If you feel that this indicator that I have, that you potentially have as well, is pretty powerful. Whereby we have a bullish signal, it starts going up. We have bearish signal, it starts coming down, and it will guide you to get in and out as well. Type P for powerful if you feel that this is pretty powerful, right? See, right, Vincent, powerful, Edward, Chester, powerful, Winkit, powerful. Yeah, so you can find out a little bit more by attending one of those free webinars. But I want to share with you guys basically that essentially based on this, we are using what we call the One Good Trend Pro indicator. But if you want to find out a little bit more, essentially I have what we call a light version, all right, a light version. A team can just place in the chat. Basically, we have the one good trend light indicator for, you can test drive it for free. Basically, this is the pro version, which has more advanced features, right? But we have the light version whereby it just allows you to turn on the bullish and bearish signals, right? Like what you see over here, to guide you to get in and get out, right? So if you want, can test drive it. The link is right in the chat. Just click on it and you come to this page right over here. Well, it's the most incredible free gift ever, I think, is in the stock market, right? Test drive my one good trend light indicator for free. Simpler version compared to what we're using, right? Whereby it's just, you can turn on the bullish and bearish signals, guide you when to get in, when to get out. You get over $3,997 worth of pure training, right, for free, just for test driving this indicator, this powerful indicator that you just mentioned is powerful, right? So check it out. That's the link in the chat. Pretty much this is the page whereby you will be led to. All right, so that is NVIDIA, pretty positive, bullish above 150. I'll pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so riding on Joey's concept earlier, whereby he actually shared that, we a lot of us, we don't have the mindset whereby, if it's more expensive, we don't want to buy, right? So riding on that concept, right, I saw this question by Gerard. Gerard is actually asking, I bought Coinbase at the low of 200, thinking of adding. What price is reasonable price to add? That's definitely a very good mindset to have, because when I look at the chart, right, Coinbase, now, as of last night, price closed at 388, and you mentioned that you bought at a low of about 200. So let me just take a look. From 200, right, maybe 200, somewhere around here, all the way to about 388. That's close to 90, over 90%. You're sitting on close to over 90% profits right now, right? So that's great. And you are even thinking about adding more position to increase your exposure, especially so when we look at the trend right now, like what Joey mentioned. If the trend is strong, you want to maximize it, right? We want to maximize riding the trend. And that's actually a very good mindset to have as well, because a lot of us, sometimes the mindset a bit hard to change. We want to buy things that is cheap, and we don't want to buy things that become more expensive. But if the trend of the stock is actually looking good, why not, right? Why not? So that is the key, right? That is the key. So let's take a look at Coinbase right now, and to see some of the levels, right? What are some of the levels that perhaps, Jared, you can actually take note of it, all right? So for Coinbase, we actually do see two 1GT bearish signal coming out. The first one actually came out on 25th of April, right? And the second one actually came out not too long ago, 18th of June, maybe about 2-3 weeks back, right? And right now, price is at 388. And we, like I've mentioned, the moving averages at this point in time all seems to be looking great, right? The green line, 20 days moving average, is pointing up. The red and the blue line are also showing signs of it pointing up as well. And I think what would be even better if, prices, right now, the immediate resistance, right, I would say is somewhere near the $400 psychological level, because, sometimes usually around this round nice number, that's where, selling pressure could be present, right, And if prices can break and hold above the 400, right, it is very likely that we might see this 100 days moving average, right, the red line could potentially cross above or cross over the blue line as well, something like that. And that will actually give you more confirmation of the longer term trend aligning with the shorter term trend. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And in terms of the support level right now, right, we do see that the immediate support will be somewhere about 340, right? 340, because back in somewhere in December 2024, this whole area, this whole month, right, from November to December, this is where, we actually saw selling pressure return, right? Every time price near this level, it actually did manage to break above, selling pressure came back, push prices back down, and then we get 1GT bearish signal right over here. And on 24th of June, it actually tested it, and the next day it actually managed to break above it. And somewhere in 1st of July, not too long ago, it actually tested this level again, but very quickly it managed to get hold of this 340, and now it's holding above it once more, right? So in terms of thinking, where can we potentially add more position to increase the exposure, right, to continue riding the trend? I think that's a very good question, right? We want to think about adding positions, especially when it is near a support level. So I would say, now the support level, like we've mentioned, right, this 340, it is actually a resistance turn to become what we call a support. And this could be one of the areas where we can potentially look at to set some price alert, right, to notify you if prices were to retrace back to this level. This is where we can potentially add some positions as well. But because, you know, I'm not too sure when you actually bought it, but you are sitting on more than 90% profits. If let's say you do want to take some partial profits near the $400, I would think that is also okay lah, because since you're already sitting on more than 90% profits, sometimes don't be too greedy, right? You can take partial profits, take 1/3. That is also fine, right? But you can also consider to add some more exposure near the support zone right over here, right? Near the 340. But of course, the other thing that I wanted to highlight to you is that you can actually use this trading support and resistance function, right? Let me just turn it on. And, you know, just now I was mentioning we can actually use this to also think about, you know, using it, right, to actually protect your profits, right? Because the thing is that as prices moves up, this trailing support will also continues to move up, and that's where we can use this trailing support as a guide to actually guide you to actually shift your stop limit order up to protect more profits as you continue to ride the trend. So right now, okay, sorry, let me just clear this, okay? So right now the trailing support is somewhere around 322, right? Perhaps you want to place, you know, slightly, you know, a few percent, maybe 2 to 3%, slightly below the 320 level, right? To have a stop limit order to actually protect your profits, right? To protect your profits. And because like what we mentioned, this trading support actually accounts for the stock volatility. And if prices continue to move up, it will move up and it gives it room to breathe. If prices were to, you know, retrace back down and break below the trading support, then not so good lah. Because like what Joey mentioned, you give the stock room to breathe, but yet it's still broken below the room for it to breathe. That's where you want to be a bit more cautious, because that's where, you know, more selling pressure could return. It doesn't mean that the stock will crash, but it just means that more selling pressure could return, and that's where you want to be a bit more careful. Okay, so these are some of the levels for Jared. Maybe that's where you can actually take note to consider to add some positions, but at the same time, you know, think about protecting your profits, and perhaps if you would like, can also take some partial profits near the psychological resistance near 400. All right, so that would be for Coinbase. Back over to you, Joey.
Right, very good. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead to cover the next US stock. So you can see that most of the question right now, I mean, the market has been pretty bullish like, over the 1 month plus 2 months, right? So the question you can see is not about like time to get in, but more like, you know, should I take profit? Should I take profit? Gone up, should I take profit, right? Should I hold more to let it ride some more, right? So these are some of the questions we see. So it's also a sign of the market pushing higher as well. So let me go ahead to see the next stock, the next US stock. I think same thing, Dixon, right? Dixon Tan, let's see. Hood, HOOD, right? Robinhood Markets. Time to take profits or add positions? See, it's always the same question. So you know, because I think you've been, you know, holding on to it, you've been making some money, but then you think you can go up some more, but then also you're scared, right? You're scared of what you buy and come back down, right? So you also don't know whether to take some profit or maybe to buy some more, right? So let's go to find out. So this is Robinhood right here. All right, as I say, I've quickly turned on the One Good Trend Pro indicator. What we got some bearish signal in February and March, April went down from like about 70 all the way to $40. And that's where I mentioned you want to be patient. You want to be patient to get in. So I'm not too sure exactly what price you got in Dixon. All right, because I think you're definitely holding on to it, all right. Or to add more position means you're probably holding on to it, but you've got in at 50 or 60 or 70, then good. You're definitely making some money, all right. And quite obviously, we got a 1 GT bullish signal actually coming out right over here on the 25th of April, right? 25th of April, the green 20 days moving average line, there was like going down, then a bit sideways, also started to point up. Is it still pointing up? I think it's still pointing up, don't need to bluff yourself, right? So up means up, down means down, right? So I think the green 20 days moving average line is still pointing up. The red and blue in terms of the longer term trend, well, that one has been up since last year, that one I'm going to say, it's quite easy to see, okay? So I think it looks pretty bullish still, right? So back to your question, is it time to take some profit, right? What if it, you know, has a potential to push up even higher? So I would say that it really depends on yourself as well, whether, you want to just lock in partial profits. My take is this, there's nothing wrong. I say again, there's nothing wrong to take profits, all right? Profits in your pocket are realized profits. Realized profits are real money that you have put in your account, you've taken it, right? So nothing wrong to take profits, right? Let's say you have like, I don't know, I have no idea what price you bought or how many shares, right? So let's say you have like 200 shares, all right, or 300 shares, right, $20,000, $30,000, I don't know, right, or maybe a few $1,000,000 of this, right? So I think it's fine to take partial profits, whether you want to sell 1/3, let's say you have like 200 shares, right, 200 shares, that's like maybe about close to $20,000, right? So 200 shares, you can take 20 shares, sell 20 shares, sell 20 shares, as it approaches some of the key resistance level, take partial profits, put some of the funds, sales proceeds in your pocket, that will be good as well. So resistance will be maybe somewhere around the $100. So if you want to sell, maybe let's say assuming like you have 200 shares, you want to sell like 30 or 40 shares near the 100 psychological resistance, nothing wrong. I can sell at 98, 99, 99.5, 99.2, or around 100 lah. You see that's where we have seen some profit taking coming back as well, right? So I think nothing wrong to take some profit if you want, right? Take partial, but of course, my take is that don't sell all. Why? Because I think it's still quite bullish, right? It's still quite bullish. You sell all, then after it breaks 100, then you go up to 120, then you say, yeah, wasted, why go and sell all, right? And after it starts going up again. So for me, it's like, you want to take partial profit is fine, nothing wrong. But if the stock is still bullish, there's no sign of it going down. I think right now, maybe we might see another support level at about $90. Look at this, right? For the past 1 over week, it's going up 90, 100, 90, 100, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? So we have found a bit of a higher support level as well, right? So there are no signs of it kind of like, breaking 90, or maybe if I can turn on the trailing support level, like, look at this. So the trailing support slightly lower. Why? Because they give it space, right? So that it's slightly lower. As you can see, the trailing support is about 80. So anything above 80, by right, is still okay. But now not even 80, like 90 already came out as a horizontal support level. Does it make sense? All right. So, it just shows that it's pretty bullish, right? So take some profit if you want near 100, nothing wrong. Leave some to ride further, right? My take is this, right? My sense is this. If you can break the 100, you want to set some alerts, if you can break 100, all right, if you go to 101, 102, 103, 104, whatever, right? I think it could be fast. I think the upside could be a bit faster. The momentum could come back again, and targets could be all the way to like 110, 120, right? And that's where let it consolidate. If you take partial profits again, it's fine. But so far, I think that it still looks pretty bullish, based on this 1GT bullish signal playing out since April. We are up, right? There's no bearish signal obviously out now. Things are still looking pretty good for now. Ken Dixon, all right, so I hope that you're a little bit clearer on this stock called Robinhood, all right? So as I say, guys, so what we're doing right now today, all right, we are kind of like turning on my One Good Trend Pro indicator, give you guys a quick opinion. I don't have time to explain the whole checklist, so we have a 7-point checklist, right? So if you want to find out a little bit more, you can attend one of those free webinar that I have. I think in about 2 weeks' time, we have a free webinar. Z can just place the link in the chat, all right? So, click on the link, register for a free webinar, and that's where we'll break down the entire One Good Trend strategy for you, so you have a better understanding of what to do step by step, all right, whether to buy or to sell, all right, and maybe even have a tool or an indicator like this to guide you as well. Okay, Ken, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be Williams, right? Williams Company. I saw Damien is asking. Hi, Damien. Nice to see you here again. Keen to know more about Williams. Got in at 58.20. Wondering what's the upside is like. Okay, so let's take a look at a Williams, right? Williams Company. So as of last night, you can see that price closed at about 57.78, and you mentioned that you got in at 58.20, right? Okay. But William, maybe no, Damien, sorry, Damien. Yeah, but Damien, I'm not too sure what is your stop loss plan, but do remember, right, to make sure have a trading plan, right, which includes your stop loss plan, right? But let's take a look at what are the key levels for William first. All right. So for William, right, we can see from the 2024 end of the year, right, starting from November to where we are at now, prices have just been going up and down, up and down, up and down within this range, right? And it's kind of like a consolidation, especially so when we look at the 20 days moving average, right? It has also just been going up and down, flattening out, right? And for this particular stock, we can see that, the support level, right? It's very clear that one of the support level that we are looking at is somewhere near this 52, right? 52 level is where we actually always see buying pressure return. Let me change this to black. You see multiple times, right? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Actually, at least 5 times, right? This 52 level is where buyers actually came back to support the price. And in terms of resistance wise, definitely at near the $60 psychological level, right? 60 to maybe about 61. This level right over here, 1 time, 2 times. This period here was testing as well. And somewhere at the end of June, it did manage to break above, right? Hold above it for a couple of days. And then on this very day, 1st of July, we have a very long bearish candlestick right over here, right? And prices came back down back within this range once again, right? And we also do get a 1 GT bearish signal, but it doesn't mean that the stock will crash, right? It just means that there is indeed more selling pressure returning back to this counter, and that's why you want to be a bit more careful, right? But like I've mentioned, I think the key support level that you have to probably take note of, probably set some key alerts, right? Or price alert would be at this 52, right? Because I think that, if prices came back down and it goes back up, and if let's say it does break below this 52, where we saw, previously there is multiple times that buyers actually return. If at this time buyers didn't actually return, that's where you want to be a bit more cautious already, right? Because that's where we can potentially see more weakness returning back to this counter, right? So 52 is one of the levels that perhaps you might want to take note, right? But you are asking also, what is the upside looking like? So consolidation is one thing, right? Prices could actually consolidate within this range for a period of time as well, and before it actually firmly break and hold above this 60 level. Potential upside targets, what we are looking at, we can actually do a simple projection based on this range, like you can see here, that is trading at, right? And you project it upwards, right? I think somewhere around this 68 level, right? This 68, this could be a next upside target that we are looking at if prices can indeed firmly break and hold above the 60, right? Firmly break and hold over the 60, then potential upside targets based on the range projection, like so, shift it up, potential upside targets towards the 68 level. But of course, I think Damien, do keep a lookout for this 52 level, right? And make sure that, if prices break below, do have a stop loss plan in place, right? Because I would not want you to be sitting on, unrealized losses, not knowing what to do if prices were to really break below this 52 level. All right. So that would be for William. Back over to you, Joey, to cover the next stock.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me go ahead to cover the next stock. Let's see who is asking about it. We have Clement, right? Clement Wong, hope you're still over here. C Limited, right? Hi, bought C at about 120 in April, right? Bought about 120 in April. Very good, somewhere over here, all right? Prices have retracted from the high of 170 to about 150 now. Yep, correct. Exactly, now it's about 149 plus. Any bearish signals to sell and take profit now? What is the trailing support level? Have it broken? So, well, let me go to see what has happened. So you can see quite clearly for C Limited, right? It has been in a pretty good longer term uptrend now. So nothing to be too worried about. You can see the rate, 100 days moving average line is pointing up. The blue 200 days moving average line is pointing up, right? Since like last year, May, all right? So longer term trend is up, but doesn't mean the short term trend cannot be down lah. Short-term trend can be down. Look at this. Right? Every time we get the bearish signal and it starts coming down, right? The green line also start to turn down. Same thing. We got a bearish signal here in March. The green 20 days moving average line also started to turn down, right? So now, back to your question, right? Do we have a bearish signal? Answer is yes. We got a bearish signal recently. I think we kind of like broke down like the 155, right? I think near about 160, we got a bearish signal. So it came down a little bit more, all right? And the green line, don't need to bluff yourself. The green line obviously is like starting to turn down. Does it make sense? All right. So definitely, we are definitely seeing some signs of I say again, short-term weakness, whereby, it could hit down in the next 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in the short term, right? But the longer term, still okay. Still okay. I mean, as I say, the red and blue line has been up since last year. So longer term trend is good, but short-term trend is down. It's down. Does it make sense? So this could be a good thing as well. So some people always say, oh yeah, so high, the market push up, very expensive, don't buy at the high. But then now, when you get a bearish signal, it could actually be a good thing, right? It gives you an opportunity to get in at slightly cheaper prices, all right, and a bit more attractive prices, not anyhow, all right? When the time comes, when the reversal comes, right? What do I mean by reversal? Well, like you can see, right? So when we got a bearish signal here in April, the green line points down. Let it go down, go down, go down. When you see a new bullish signal, so you got it at 120, I think maybe over here when you got a bullish signal, and there we go all the way up, right? Over here as well, you got a bearish signal, right? Wait for it, let it go down, you cannot go down already, right? Then we get bullish signal coming out, and then the green line also start to turn up, there we go. Does it make sense about? Right? So it could be a good opportunity to let it go down, especially for those of you who are thinking about getting in. Don't rush yet, right? But what I'm trying to say is that if you have not got in, good, right? You could wait for it to go down some more, stabilize, find a support. a new bullish signal comes out, the green line from going down, all right, maybe start to flatten out and then start to point up like this, like that, like over here. Then you get a new bullish signal, or even better, a confirmation to get back in, right? To ride the reversal, to ride the rebound, because the longer term trend is already up. All right. So back to your question, Clement. Well, I would say that, yeah, if you want to take some profit, it's okay, because yeah, indeed, we got a bearish signal. So we could still see some short-term selling, right? You got it at 120. So if you sell now, you are definitely still making money. So I'm not too sure whether the short-term selling can go to 135 or 140 or 130. I have no idea, right? But what we can see right now, indeed, it has broken what we call the trailing support. That's why a bearish signal have came out. So normally when we see that, we want to reduce some exposure, like, because I mean, the worst thing is that you hold all the way, then you go back down to 120, then you're like back to the same price, right? So we don't want that to happen. You can take some, partial reduce of exposure, let it go down, and then when you see, as I say, when you see a new bullish signal coming out, like over here, basically you can just take this and paste it over here. All right, if you see it happening, like let's say over here, a bullish signal, and then you see the green line, like from here going down and then going up, right? Like you can just take it. Okay, let me just put in green color, something like this. You can take and then you paste it over here, something like this, right? Then that could guide you to get back in. I think that would be more confirmation of that reversal back up again. Does it make sense? All right, so that is for C Limited. A little bit of weakness in the short term trend, unfortunately, pointing out for now, we got a bearish signal, but right, it could be an opportunity to get in on dips when the time comes. When the time comes, not anyhow, when the time comes. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, I think the next US stock I'll be covering will be Estee Lauder, right? I saw Lynn is actually asking about Estee Lauder. Okay, let's take a look at Estee Lauder, because I think Estee Lauder, one of the foundation, also not too bad. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so Estee Lauder, as of yesterday, we saw that price actually closed at about 92, right? And you mentioned that you got in at, let's see, 84, right? 84. And right now, if let's say, first thing first, we take a look at the trend first. If we take a look at the trend, let's just focus on the moving average first, all right? So when we take a look at the moving average, first thing, the shorter term trend, the green line, 20 days moving average, it's actually pointing up, right? And we do see 1GT bullish signal. Great, right? And the longer term trend, it was actually pointing down, both are actually pointing down, and now it's flattening out. And even the red one, it was pointing down, now it's showing some signs of it pointing back up. So that is also another good sign that the longer term trend perhaps might be stabilizing, and perhaps we can potentially see a uptrend reversal in play if we can see that the red line, the 100 days, actually cross above the 200 days moving average, and the green line also continue to point up. Potentially that is where we can actually come back and take a look at this stock, and the uptrend might be slightly more intact at this rather than now. Right now, but perhaps it is actually still playing out. I would not be able to confirm or tell, right? Because I can't predict it, right? But if we actually see signs of the 100 days cross above the 200 days, great. Okay. And right over here, let's take a look. The next thing, let's take a look at where are the supports and the resistance level. So definitely right over here, we do see that the immediate support will be somewhere around this 84, right? So you mentioned that you got in somewhere near $80, sorry. $80 is the psychological support. So you mentioned that you got in somewhere near 84, which is near the support level. I think that's pretty okay. That's pretty okay, right? That's pretty okay. And in terms of the potential upside targets that we are looking at right now, I think $100 right over here, right, would be the psychological resistance. And I would not be surprised, somewhere near this $100 right over here, right, the maybe 98, 99, this level, this is where we can potentially see some selling pressure actually return, because number one, this is actually a psychological level, and number two, if we look back over here, this was where somewhere in July 2024, price broke below it, tested it for a couple of weeks, right, unable to break above it again. Once again, somewhere in October, this was where price tested it again, unable to break above it, and that was where since October 2024, prices was kept below this level. So if price were to head back up to retest this $100, right, that's where you can also consider to actually take some profits, right? If you are like, be it like a half position, 1/3 position, that is also fine. If prices can break and hold above $100, then potential upside targets, that's where we can actually see more strength actually returning to the counter, provided that it can break and hold above the $100 with what I mentioned earlier on, right? With the 100 days, the red line crossing above the blue line, right? And potential upside targets that we can look towards would be this $150 right over here, right over here. But of course, maybe I think somewhere near this 120 first, we could have some selling pressure return once again, like what we have seen here previously was a support and it broken below right over here. So I think first thing first, it is still a very long way back to, you know, the previous high, you know, of about $200 over. But I think for a start now, it is actually some good signs that, you know, potentially this stock could be reversing back up. But firstly, it has to break above the $100 psychological level first before we can see a next leg up for this particular counter. All right. Lynn, maybe those are some of the levels that you can take note of. And I hope that answers your questions for ST Lauder. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, thank you so much, Z. Let me go ahead and let's cover the next US stock. So before I cover the next stock, right, we have covered, let me just go ahead to go through very quickly, guys, what have we covered so far when we began today's AMAS US session, right? So at the beginning, we covered the markets, the S&P 500 index, and even the Dow Jones. So guys, in case you miss any of the stocks or the markets, we are not going to cover it again. Now you can watch the replay. It will be on my YouTube channel. So go ahead to subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys. If you have not yet done so, there should be a button, a bell icon at the top, subscribe, so that when we go live in the future, you will be alerted as well. All right. So we talked about the S&P 500 index, Dow Jones. All right. And I covered the very first US stocks that you guys asked: Micron, Amazon, SOFI Technologies, number 3, Agillion Technology. Number 5 was NVDA, all right, the very popular AI tech stock, NVIDIA, NVDA, Coinbase, Robinhood, William Companies, C Limited, and Z just covered stock number 10, ST Lauder. All right, so we have covered 10 stocks already. Let's try to go a bit faster. And let me move on to the very next US stock. I think Styler, hope you're still over here, right? Bought TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, at 100 some time ago and sold all recently, half at 170. Oops, you sold at 170. Okay, it has gone up a bit more. And 233 respectively. So you sold 233. Okay, good over here. At what price should I buy back? Okay, so that means you have sold already. Yeah, okay, wasted. Okay, never mind. Let's see, right? So you have sold already, right? But I think hopefully you make some money as well because you bought 100. So nothing wrong, right? Because you bought 100, you sold at 200 plus, you sold at 170, you're confirm making money. So never mind. But let's see if actually could have actually hold a bit more because maybe can go up some more, right? So let's see. So you can see that this Taiwan Semiconductor, well, we had some bearish. I'll not go too far back, but I think you guys can quite clearly see for yourself. Every time we got a bearish signal, it starts coming down, down, down. So as I think I mentioned just now, it's not only about getting in and getting in and getting in, but also about getting out, right? Getting out when it's time to get out, all right? So you can see bearish signal, it starts coming down. Bearish signal, it starts coming down. But every time a new 1GT bullish signal comes out, it goes higher. It goes higher. All right. Of course, the most recent one was in April, 29 April. And we go even higher, right? From here, let's see, right? How far have we gone from like about 161 all the way to 200 plus, 44% in about 2 months. All right. So pretty strong. I think right now, if you're looking to get in, well, nothing wrong to think about getting in. As I say, I think we have been always talking about, in an uptrend, we want to have the right mindset that, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, I missed it. And then I did not get in previously or 1 month ago or 2 months ago, right? And then you just sit there and do nothing and then let it go up some more, right? I mean, you can do that as well, right? But that's not the right mindset, right? You want to have the right mindset whereby if it's strong, it's a bit more expensive, no choice, but you still think about getting in, right? With a plan, right? With a proven strategy, right? To ride even more upside. So I say right now that we got 1, 2, 3 bullish signals. We have broken this very key resistance at 220. Look at this. It was a psychological resistance in January, February, March. And then after we couldn't go above it, and in the end got 2 bearish signals, and then we go all the way down, right? Finally, same thing. We have broken this psychological 220 resistance level. So it's definitely more bullish because for past 7-8 months, we just couldn't go above it, right? But finally, we go above it. It means something, right? It means something. It just shows that buyers are in control. They're kind of like, attempting to push the stock to a higher high. So that's bullish, right? So let me just turn this red line to a green line because this horizontal resistance will now turn into a horizontal support level. And if you look at this line right over here, it actually coincides with where the green 20 days moving average line is. I mean, this green line has been sloping up since May, right? All the way up, right? You see, actually it's quite near the green 220 horizontal line as well. All right, so I think it looks pretty bullish. Right, so I think a good entry could be near a horizontal zone, anything above 220, whether 222, 225, 223, 224. All right, anything above 220. I think that's where you can see some bargain hunting is coming back, especially if you see some bullish candlestick right over here. All right, and I would say that I can turn on as well the trailing support for another confirmation. So let's just turn it on, 1, 2, 3, and there we go. Right, since the first 1GT bullish signal, we got a trailing support popping up, and it follows, follow, go up, it follow, right? So follow, and give it space, don't follow too close also, give it space, let it, move up slowly, gradually, account for volatility, give it the breathing allowance, right? So you can see that we are definitely still above the trailing support that is around the 215, 216, right? Slightly lower, why? Because got space, right? So we're still above it. So we're above the horizontal support, we're above the trailing support. So I think it still looks okay. So anything above these levels, I think you can try to enter on dips, especially if you see some bullish candle, reversal candlestick over there. That will be another confirmation. All right, Styler. And maybe just a quick one. If you see this resistance, so I think over the past 2 weeks, just a bit of a guidance. Well, it seems like 240, all right, has came out as a bit of a resistance level. All right, so yeah, I think if you can break 240, you can set some alerts like 241, 242. If that breaks, I think even more bullish, upside momentum can come back firmly again. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think we are going a bit faster right now. So the next stock that I'll be covering will be Dave, right? It's called DAVE, and it's by Maggie, right? Maggie is actually asking about Dave. You're saying that, we bought Dave close to 270, but it has plunged around to 230. And within less than 5 days, should I hold or should I sell? Okay, so let's take a look at Dave, right? So you mentioned that you bought at 270. So it's very, very close to the resistance, in fact, because the resistance is somewhere near this 280 to 285 level, right? Where we actually started to see selling pressure return. Okay, so you bought about 270, and as of last night, price closed at 229. So your question is whether should you hold or should you sell? So I'm not too sure, Maggie, what is your initial plan when you first got into this counter? What is your stop loss plan as well, right? But very clearly right over here, first thing first, I can see that, at $200 level, this is one of the psychological support, right? This is one of the psychological support. Price actually broke above this level. Let me just zoom in. Price actually broke above this level, and then it came back down, right? Selling pressure came back, retested, bounced back up again. Once again, one more time, tested this level. And this time round, rather than just now I talk about long upper shadow, now we are talking about long lower shadow. We focus on long lower shadow. And when we have long lower shadows, it means that there's more buying pressure present, right? And then subsequently, price still managed to hold above this 200. So I would say $200 is definitely a psychological level that you might want to take note of, right? You might want to take note of, especially so if price really break below this 200, that's where, you got to be a bit more cautious already, and maybe you might want to think about reducing some exposure for this particular counter, because that's where we can also start to see the 20 days moving, right? Average will also start to point down as well. Despite, of course, the longer term trend is still pointing up, but we are seeing some short-term weakness, right? And we don't want to be stuck in a scenario whereby you are sitting on unrealized losses. Okay, and the other thing is that if I were to turn on this trailing support, right over here, let me just turn it on, and I can see that this the prices over the past few days has been kept coming down, and it's very, very close to this trailing support. So what we always mention, right? You can use a trailing support as a guide for your stop loss. So I'm not too sure what's your initial plan for your stop loss, right? But because if we use a trailing support as a guide for stop loss, we can actually place our stop limit order, slightly below, maybe 2 to 3%, slightly below the trailing support, right? To protect your downside, because if prices were to really break below this trailing support, that's where you actually get another 1 GT bearish signal, right? 1 GT bearish signal. But of course, definitely if prices can, remain, it can also break below this, right? But the key thing I would want to monitor now at this point in time would be definitely this $200, because I want to see whether, this $200, like in the past month from May all the way to June, right? Whether is selling, buying pressure will actually return to support the price back at the $200. So I would say $200 definitely would be the critical level that you might want to monitor. Right? For this particular stock. All right. So that would be for Dave, a very quick one. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let me go ahead to cover the next stock, and that would be, let's see, right? There's this stock called Ampino Corporation. Let me go ahead to you. Just pull out. Who's asking about this? Let me just see. I think I saw the comment right over here. Where is it? Okay, there we go, right? So in Chester, right? Still holding APH, which is Ampino Corporation, right? No, I haven't heard of this stock before, right? But APH bought at $61. Now it's hovering around 90 plus. Yeah, correct. It's about 98, right? Can it break 100 from your 1GT chart? All right. So first of all, to answer your question, the 1GT chart cannot tell whether it can break 100 or break 120 or go to 105 tomorrow or go to 120 next week. Cannot, right? We can't tell that. Like if I can tell that, well, very good already, right? But we can't tell that. So that's not how it works, right? How the 1GT Pro indicator works is that it comes out with bullish and bearish signals, right, to guide us as a confirmation to get in, all right, and maybe to get out if you see a bearish signal, right? So if you ask me if there's any bearish signal right now, then the answer is no, confirm there isn't a bearish signal. We got a 1GT bullish signal that came in right over here when it was about 70 plus. 70 all the way to 98. So what price you got in? What, 61? Not too bad. Maybe you got in right over here. All right, but you can see based on this bullish signal, it has gone up by about 38% in about 2 over months. So not too bad, not too bad. We got bearish signals coming out in December. January came down, the green line also turned down. So as I say, it could be a good opportunity to get in on dips when the time comes. And indeed, the time came, right? The green line was down, flat, turn up, right? Turn up. A bullish signal came out. The longer term trend, look at the red and blue. Red and blue, very easy to see. It's been up since like last year. You look at the red and blue line, right? But doesn't mean the red and blue is up. Doesn't mean the long term trend is up. Means that the short term cannot be down, right? Because you see, we've got bearish signal, it starts coming down, right? Then a bullish signal, it goes up even more, right? Same thing, bearish signal comes down 1-2 weeks. Another new bullish signal, it goes up even more. All right. So now I would say that, well, we have seen a pretty good rally. All right. We are definitely facing some very key psychological resistance at the 100 level. All right. Support quite clearly at about 95, 96. It seems like for the past 2 weeks, that has came out as a support level. And the green 20 days moving average line that was going up since April, I think it's still sloping up, right? Don't you bluff yourself? I think it's still sloping up. So the short-term trend is still intact, all right? If I can quickly turn on the trailing support level, look at it, it's right over here. That has followed APH as it moves up since April. You can see follow, up, follow. It is right over here at around that 93, 94 level. So give it some space, right? It's slightly below the 95, 96 horizontal support level. Why? Because the space, right? So slightly below it. So I think it's still okay. We are above the trailing support. We are also above the horizontal support level. All right. The key here is that can it break 100 from the chart? Well, I have no idea when you break, right? Whether tomorrow or what, I have no idea. But what you could do, very simple, Chester, you could set some alerts, right? You could set some alerts at 101, 102, 101.5, 104, 103, so that if it does break, then you'll be alerted. And if that happens, we may even see a new 1GT bullish signal. So one thing I forget to add is that for any of the stocks or even the market, for any asset classes, I could set an alert, like right click, add an alert, all right? And I mean, you could set a price alert like 101, 102, 103, up to you, right? But what happens, I could set a one good trend pro indicator alert. That means if there are any bullish or bearish signal being triggered, right? I mean, you can open the chart and see yourself as well, or you can set an alert such that when the signal come out, then you can be alerted, all right? So you can see right over here, one good trend pro, buy or sell alert, all right? Once per bar, create. So whenever any bullish or bearish signal come out on this stock, I will be alerted, right? By email, by an app notification, by a pop-up over here, all right? Then I could decide whether to take more positions or maybe to get out if you see a bearish signal. Does it make sense? All right. So that is NVDA Corporation. Looks pretty good. We are above the horizontal support at about 95. Also above the trailing support that is about 93 as well. All right. So Z, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Joey. Okay. So the next stock that I'll be covering, I think is one of the very popular stock as well. And I think Sitra is actually asking about this stock, Spotify. Right, Spotify is one of the very big stocks that a lot of you guys probably know or heard of, and it's probably using the app as well, right? So let's take a look at this stock, right? You said you have bought Spotify around 725. Notice that there are some weakness and thinking of more accumulation. All right, okay, so let's take a look at some of the levels where we can potentially accumulate more for this counter. All right, first thing first, the trend, uptrend looks fantastic, right? Short term, long term, everything is actually pointing up. Especially longer term trend, right? It has been going up for a while already, right? But short term trend, if I were to zoom in a little bit, we can actually see some signs of it flattening out right over here, right? It has been going up, yes, from April, right? Going up, up, and it has just flattened out very recently. And we do see some pullback, right? As exactly like what Sutra has actually mentioned. Okay, so let's take a look. As of last night, price actually closed at 709, right? About 709. And we can see that, you know, the one of the support levels, right over here will be around this 680, right? This 680, I would say this would be one of the immediate support level as prices actually broke above this level right over here, tested this level, especially when it neared it, right? 670 to 680, you know, this level, right? This zone now, I would say. And then eventually it broke above it somewhere in June, managed to hold above it, and it is currently still holding above this 670 to 680, this level right over here, right? And in terms of resistance, definitely will be at the psychological $800, as this is where we saw selling pressure return when prices near this 800, right? So $800 is also one of the psychological level to take note as well, right? And in terms of potentially accumulating some position, where can we potentially accumulate some position is we always look towards support level, right? Support level. And like I've mentioned, one of the support level, like I've drawn right over here, will be close to the 680, right? So I think this zone right over here would be okay to actually accumulate some position, especially so when, you know, the longer term trend is actually still looking great and the short term trend is just flattening out, right? At least it is not pointing down. We are not seeing like, you know, full blown short term weakness. It is just flattening out, and hopefully, you know, it can actually stabilize before pushing even higher, right? And if prices can break and hold above the $800 psychological level, potential upside targets based on this range projection right over here, if we were to project it up, it'll be close to around this 920, which is the next upside target that we can potentially look at for Spotify if prices can break and hold above the 800. All right, Citra, I hope that helps for Spotify. I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Okay, thank you so much. See, let's move on to the next one, and that would be asked by Energize Mood, right? Miss QuantumScape QS. This flag still on final call before flying off, all right? Wow, is it really going to fly off soon? Now let's find out. So this is QuantumScape. I have not really looked at this stock, but on first glance, I could see that this stock is pretty volatile. I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, you can like up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Don't know whether it will go down, right? But essentially, it's been quite volatile, right? It's been quite volatile just by looking at the price movement, all right? But you can see that, well, we got a 1GT bullish signal, all right? So not too sure when you got in, Energized Mood, all right? I don't know whether you got in when after you see this. I mean, you got in at 6 or 7, good lah. Now it's $9 confirm making money, but it is very volatile lah. So for me, even though there's a 1GT bullish signal, right? The obvious green line is turning up, right? Everything looks to be pretty good, but probably not for me lah, right? My heart is not for this type of stock. It's kind of like a very speculative kind of stock. But maybe for you, it's okay, right? So it's up to you. But for me, I would say that just want to be a bit more careful because these are pretty speculative stock, right? And we are nearing a very, very key level whereby, you know, we could potentially see some selling coming back, all right? As I say, yeah, it's been up, down, up, down, up, down. Every time it goes up to that level, it come back down. What is that level? Well, the $10 lah, the $10, right? Look at this. As I say, you know, we were right over here, and then we come back down. All right, we neared it, and then come back down. Now we are 909, which is like near it. I don't know whether it'll come back down now, right? I'm just telling you that it's $10 lah. So this $10 is quite critical lah, right? So if we were to, you know, near the $10 and then some bearish candlestick come in like over here, a bearish candlestick over here, a long upper shadow, and then you want to be careful lah because we can, you know, come back down again lah. All right, does it make sense, all right? So that is for QuantumScape, right? However, if we can really, so all this while I say this $10 since for more than a year, right? Almost 2 years, we have been touching and coming back down, but let's say lah, right? We go above $10, we go to $10.10, $10.20, $10.50. then okay, fine. At least we have breached this resistance. You want to monitor for a while. All right, make sure you have a very tight stop loss plan. All right, to protect, because as I say, this is very volatile. All right, it's definitely more speculative than the stock that we are looking at. All right, so if it stays above $10, good. That's where I think we may see more upside by the tight stop loss plan to protect your profits as it moves higher. All right, Ken. So that is for QuantumScape Corporation. Z, back to you.
Okay. Thanks, Joey. The next stock that I'll be covering, right, will be GLD. I think JJ is asking about GLD, and GLD is actually one of the stocks that we have been featuring in our bonus stock for a couple of times in the past AMAS session, right? So let's take a look at GLD. Okay, so for GLD, long-term uptrend definitely still remains intact. It is still pointing up. Red and the blue line, 100 days, 200 days moving average is still hitting up. And if I were to zoom in a little bit, right, short-term trend-wise, it has just been moving sideways, consolidating sideways, right? And if I were to, let me just highlight it easier for you guys to see. So it has been going up, right, until May, and then it started to flatten out and head sideways to where we are at right now, right? And yesterday price actually closed at about 306, right? And for the past few months, right, since April to where we are now, prices have just been moving sideways, and every time it nears this 320, right over here, right? This is where we actually start to see some profit taking return, right? People start to take profits, sellers are there, and prices always came back down, push back down, right? And I would say $300 is perhaps one of the psychological level that you might want to take note of right over here, right? Because this is where potentially you can position yourself for entry if prices were to near that $300 again, because multiple times we actually saw, like over the past months or so, right, every time prices actually hit the 300, that's where buyers actually came in to push the price back up. But it is, just take note that this is actually within a range of about $20, right, from 300 to about 320. So for this particular stock, I would say for GLD at this point in time, it seems like it could be consolidating sideways for a bit until we start to see some signs of the 20 days moving average, right, having some signs of it pointing back up again, then potentially we can break and hold above this 320, and potential upside targets, if that actually happens, we are looking towards the 340 level based on the range that it has been trading for over the past couple of months. All right, so right now we do have a 1GT bullish signal, no bearish exits yet, and like what I mentioned, short-term trend is just heading sideways, long-term trend is still looking great for GLD. All right, so that will be for GLD. Back over to you, Joey.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. So guys, we have covered like about 16 stocks already. All right, let's try to cover maybe a few more before we dive into the bonus stocks that me and Z will share at the end. All right, so just hang in there. So first thing first, guys, I calculated that we have more than 50, 60 over stocks, right, that you guys are. So our apologies are same thing. Our apologies, guys, if we cannot cover all the stocks. There's just too many. It will probably take a day to cover everything. All right, so but hopefully you can learn about the strategy as well. All right, and maybe you have access to this tool that I talk about. Maybe I'll just place the link in the chat again. You can have access to this test drive, my 1GT lights indicator for free, and you can also see the bullish and bearish signals on your stocks that you're asking that we were not able to cover. Right, so the link is right in the chat. So let me go ahead to cover the next one, and that would be CrowdStrike. Where is it? I think we saw one question on CrowdStrike. Sky, all right, Sky asking about CrowdStrike. Thinking of buying CrowdStrike, CRWD. What is the suitable level? I think we have one more question just asking about the indicator. Michael, is this indicator live? Yes, the answer is yes, right? So this is a live. I mean, it's live is, as the market trades, it's live. Maybe a few minutes delay, but it's good enough, right? It's almost live, basically. It moves up and down. So of course, when we get a bullish signal, it happens within the day itself, whether 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. It does happen, all right? A few minutes delay, but yes, it's live. Okay, so let me go back to this CrowdStrike. So Sky, you're thinking about buying. Very good, right? So these are stocks that you want to think about buying. Why? First of all, the longer term trend is up. We got a couple of bullish signals coming out, right over here, somewhere in April, somewhere in May, we got 1 and 2 bullish signal. Of course, previously we got 2 bearish signal coming out. That was in February and March. So you want to be patient. You don't want to rush, right? Wait for it. Wait for what? Wait for this thing to come out, right? Wait for the new 1GT bullish to come out, and there we go, right? There we go. So you can see previously, same thing, 2 bearish signal, and then down. Same thing, 2 bearish signal, and then down. Wow, it seems like 2 and then come down, 2 then come down, right? Then after we got a new bullish signal, and then it goes all the way up again, right? So now let's see, right? We got 1 and 2 bullish signal previously, got 1, 2, and 3, and now only got 2 lah. So hopefully one more will come out lah, right? But let's take a look. We are seeing a bit of resistance, maybe at about the 520. So 520 could be a little bit of a resistance for the past 2-3 weeks. It seems like sellers are starting to come out right over there. All right. So what could be a good level to think about buying? So yesterday, it seems like we got quite a bearish candlestick. Look at this, right? What we call something like a Marubozu candlestick bar, whereby sellers are pretty much in control. It's a red bar, right? Sellers push it all the way down and it closed somewhere near the day's low, right? So a little bit more bearish, I would say, right? But it doesn't mean that, we're going to crash or what. It just means that when it nears the 520 to 510 level zone, we could see some heavy selling pressure like what we have seen over the past 2 weeks, right? So what we could do right now is to go to turn on the trailing support, right? Trailing support, you see that now, obviously, the green line is still pointing up. The red and blue has been up since last year, right? So that one easy, right? So I would say that longer term trend is up, short term trend is up, trailing support somewhere around the 460. So anything like 460 to 470, 480, I think around that zone, if you are looking to get in, let it stabilize first. Because not today, but last night you saw a pretty bearish candle, right? But let it stabilize first. But if it dips to all those 460 to 470 to 480 and you see some reversal kind of candlestick as another confirmation, all right? So that is another step in our checklist. I don't have time to explain to you everything, but as I say, attend one of those free webinars. That's where we break it all down. But if we do see some of those bullish candlestick near this buying zone, that could be an opportunity to get back in, to ride what we call that reversal all the way back to 520 and maybe all the way to even 600 as well. All right, and I can tell you guys, maybe if the 520 were to give way, right, we would even see a new 1 GT bullish signal. So it could be even more bullish when that happens. All right, okay, so that is for CrowdStrike, CRWD. Z, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so the next stock that I'll be covering will be from VC. I saw VC is asking, I hope you are still here, VC, what price to buy SERV? I'm not too sure what this company does, but I believe it does robotics based on the name. And the first look at this particular counter, it seems like it's a very, very volatile counter as well, because you see right over here, prices can shoot up so quickly in a couple of days, right? Like, let me just see, from this to here, it's about a 500% in just a couple of days, right? And it can also come down very quickly. So this, for sure, I would say is more of like a volatile speculative stock as well. And let's take a look at where we are at right now, right? So as of last night, we saw that, price closed at about $10.62. And first look at it based on the trend, I would say like at this point in time, we are seeing that the short-term trend is actually pointing down. The 100 days is actually also pointing down. So not that ideal in terms of the trend at this point in time, because we want to be buying a stock in an uptrend rather than it in a downtrend, right? Even though we do see a 1 GT bullish signal, but sometimes the thing is that it doesn't mean that, whenever you see a 1 GT bullish signal, right, and then right now you think about, okay, let me just get into this stock without analyzing the stock, because we always still have to look at the bigger picture. You need to know where are some of the support level, where are some of the resistance, and what is the entire trend looking like. Not just purely focus on, oh, I see a 1 GT bullish signal, straight away I entered. No, we still have to look at the bigger picture in the grand scheme of things. All right. So at this point in time, like I've mentioned, for SERV, in terms of the trend wise, it is not looking that great, right? It's not looking that great. And in terms of the support level, one of the support level that I've drawn right over here would be around this $5, right? I think this $5 would be one of the support level. If prices, come back down, and is unable to hold above this $5, definitely we'll see more weakness returning back into this counter, right? And the resistance at this point in time, I think one of the immediate resistance will be around this $14 to about this $15 range right over here, where we can actually see some selling pressure return. So in terms of your question as to what price to actually buy, I would say for this particular stock at this point in time, I will monitor first, right? Monitor first. Don't have to rush in, because what I want to monitor and what I want to see at least is for the short term and the green line, the red line, right, to at least flatten out first, right? At least flatten out first before thinking about buying, because what could actually happen if this moving averages, the red line, blue line, and green line actually all start to point out, the likelihood of prices heading down is actually higher as well. So I would actually like to see more stabilization first before even thinking about taking any action for this particular stock. All right, VC, I hope that helped. That's for SERV. Back over to you, Joey, to cover the next stock.
Okay, let's go one more final round. Let me just go one more final round. All right, I'll just cover one more US stock. Z cover one more US stock, and then we dive into the bonus stock at the end of it, right? So let me just choose one more. As I say, hopefully, let me just go ahead to go through. Let's see. We have, okay, I think I saw one stock as well. Peter Low. Let's see, right? Peter Low. Hi, is there any more upside for ORCL? Let's take a look. Let me go to share my screen. ORCL, Oracle Corporation, bought at $128. Should I hold? Very good. So you bought at 128. What price is it now? Wow, now it's 235. You bought at 128. Wow, very good. Congratulations. Confirm making money. All right. So very good. Let's take a look. Now it's 235. You bought at 128. That means maybe over here. Over here. Very good. So you can see for Oracle Corporation, well, the longer term trend has been up since last year. It came down a little bit. We got some bearish signal in January, in February, March. The green 20 days moving average line started to go down. We went from like 180 or 200 all the way to 120, 130. But then what happens? Well, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal, all right? A month later, we got another 1 GT bullish signal going up even faster, right? So I think looks pretty bullish. So congrats, Peter, right? Should I hold? Should you hold to even more upside? Let's go to see what's happening, right? The short-term trend, the green line, obviously is still pointing up. So one thing about this question is this, right? Should I hold even more, right? So that you can have more side. Well, I think that to answer this question, right? When I say hold, because some people say hold, right? But when you say hold, we hold with a plan, all right? We don't say hold. Then after that, 10 years later, you come back and say, hey, Joey say hold. But, so when we hold doesn't mean you hold all the way and then don't care about it, right? But when we hold, what happens is that we have a plan to hold till it says otherwise, till there are some signs of bearishness. So right now, if you ask me, are there any bearishness? Well, no. We got bullish, two bullish signals coming out. The green 20 days moving average line is pointing up. In fact, we have also broken the $200 psychological resistance level since November, December. We're trading below it. We got bearish signal. It came down. We have broken that level in June, mid of June, right up here, pump. That is another positive. In fact, that's where we got another 1 GT bullish signal, all right? And of course, the green line also started to point up even more. So I think over the past few weeks, we would have found another support level I can draw. Maybe, let me just remove this, right? So I think maybe 220 has came out. So 220 was a bit of a resistance. We have broken it. And now 220 would be a higher support level as well. Right? So pretty good, right? We're above 220, resistance maybe about 240 for now. I think there could still be more upside if the 240 gives way. If you want to take some profit near 250, 240, nothing wrong. I talked about it, right? Take partial profits, up to you. But I would prefer to leave and hold some position as well because I think there could potentially be more upside. If I can quickly turn on the trailing support and resistance, look at it, right? So you can see the trailing support that has been following up since like May, right? Follow. It's right over here, slightly lower because got space mark, right? So it's over here at about 208, 210. So we are above the trailing support. We are above the horizontal support. I think it still looks pretty okay, right? So this Oracle, should I hold? Well, the answer is that nothing wrong to take some profit near a resistance. Nothing wrong. If you want, you can hold some as well, but hold with a plan, right? Hold with a plan. Let it ride because you are confirm making money. You got it at 128 over here, somewhere over here, 128. You are confirm making money. You want to have a stop loss. If we do see a bearish signal, I think you want to be alerted as well to maybe get out and don't hold. I mean, the worst thing is that after 2 or 3 years, you hold all the way back down. No, don't do that, right? You want to hold, but get out when there are signs of weakness, especially when we do see a 1 GT bearish signal. So what I do if I'm you, right? Very simple. I'll set an alert right now, right? So basically, right click, set an alert. So pretend I'm you, I'll set a One Good Trend Pro, buy or sell alert once per bar, create. So once the bearish signal come out, I will know, all right? I mean, hopefully you will know. So then you can also get out and take some profit. Don't hold all the way down. Okay, so far, Peter? All right, so that is for Oracle Corporation. Z, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let's move on to the last stock before passing back the time over to Joey to cover our bonus stock for today, all right? So I think the last stock that I'll be covering is by Max, right? Max is actually asking about IREN. Actually, I'm not too sure what this company does. Just have a quick look at it. It's actually engaged in operating institutional grade data center powered by renewable energy. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's take a look at this particular stock, all right? And you mentioned that you bought IREN at about 14. Does it have any buy signals and any good areas to add? All right, so let's take a look at this particular stock called IREN, and the code is IREN. Okay, so for IREN, we do have two 1GT bullish signal, not one but two, and the first one actually came out somewhere in let's see, on the 13th of May. 13th of May to where we are at right now, that's about close to 130% rise in price, right? And the second one actually came out somewhere in 27th of June, right? On 27th of June. And right now, as of last night, we saw that price actually closed at about $17, right? $17. And if I were just to take a look at the moving average right now, right? All three moving averages, red, green, the green, blue, and the red line are actually showing signs of it pointing up, and that's not too bad, right? That's not too bad, right? At this point in time, plus we do get two 1GT bullish signal, and based on the past price action that we can see right over here, right, I would say this $16, right, is actually one of the key resistance level for over the past year or so, right? Since June and May 2024, that's where we actually saw selling pressure return one time, tested this $16, unable to break above. We get 1GT bearish signal coming out again, tested somewhere in November, December in 2024, came back down, and only very recently, right, we do see it breaking above this $16. But I think what I would like to monitor, right, for the next couple of days or weeks is to see whether this $16 indeed can hold or not before thinking about taking further actions to increase your exposure or increase some positions for this counter near the support, right? Because right now it has only been a couple of days, right? And as we can tell, for the past couple of days, we do see that all this. Let me just clear this up. For these candlesticks, right, we actually do see long upper shadows, long lower shadows. So it just means that the buying and selling, the buyers and sellers are still trying to take control and see who can actually have more control near this $16 level, right? So I would say, for now, I would want to monitor further to see whether this $16 can indeed firmly hold above it. The longer you actually monitor this, right, I mean, of course, the more confirmation you have, but the cons is that perhaps you might not get in exactly at this $16, right? It could be slightly more, but at least you do get more confirmation as well. And plus, the other thing that I would like to monitor as well would be these two, right, the two longer term average, the blue line and the red line, because ideal uptrend what we are looking at will be green, red, and then blue, right? 20 days, 100 days, and 200 days. So ideally, if prices can hold above this $16 before pushing up higher, right? And we do see that the confirmation from the longer term uptrend has also the red line cross above the blue line, right? That would be great, right? That would be great. That would mean that the longer term trend has also aligned with the shorter term trend, and that is what I will want to monitor for as well. So if potential upside targets that you were to ask, potential upside targets, I think if prices can break and hold above the $16 mark based on the range that it has been trading at for over the past couple of months, right? Since last year, projected upwards, it would be towards the $26 if prices is able to break and hold above the $16 firmly. All right, so that would be for IREN. And now I'll pass the time back over to Joey to perhaps share our bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so yes, guys, we have almost come to the end of today's AMAS session, but that's after going through the bonus stock that me and Z will share at the end, right? So there's two of us over here, so we'll share two US stocks that you could put your watch list for potentially more upside. But before I go into that, guys, let me know how many of you have got value. How many of you have got value so far? All right, we have covered your stock. Type V for value, guys. Let me know, type V for value if you have got value over the past almost 2 hours, right? Just type V for value, guys. If you've got value, let me know, especially if I've covered, or me and Z have covered your stocks, or you have a better idea of when to get in, maybe when to get out as well, or I know about in, but also about out as well. Let me know, type V for value. Let's see. Josephine, hi, good to see you as well. Mass, hi, Mas, Dave, Mao, V Power, Energize Mode. Energize Mode, I think I covered your stock, the very speculative one, right? VC, ET, Jared, hi, Andy, V, Victor as well. Good to see you. Value. Awesome, guys. So very good. I'm very glad that all of you got value. That's the whole purpose of this AMAS session, you know, to just give you guys a quick opinion on your stocks so you understand what to do. And more importantly, as I say, we want to share with you guys about the tools that we're using as well, about my strategy that, you know, hopefully you guys can use it as well. And, you know, you could have a better, opinion on what to do on your stocks as well, right? So now let's go ahead to dive into the two bonus stock, right? The two bonus stock. So very simple, guys, right? What happens is this. Okay, let me go to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen right now. And this is Safton Company, right? This is Safton Company, right? The bonus stock that I'd like to share with you guys today, right? The code is SO, right? So the price now is about $93.26. So this stock actually has been in my watch list since last year. All right, you can see that the longer term trend is very gentle, sloping up. We have formed higher lows. Of course, we got a couple of like bullish signals coming out since May last year. It goes all the way up, and we got bearish signals coming out, and it goes down, 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 and then new bullish signals coming out, and we go up again, right? And then it started to do what we call a boring sideways consolidation over the past 2 to 3 months, whereby the market was quite bearish. Like everything came down, but it never came down. It just moved sideways. All right. I can see that right now. We got a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out, I think over the past one over month, right here in May. And one thing I'd like to share with you about this stock is that, well, it seems like last night we have attempted to break this very, very key resistance level at about the $93 or $92. Look at this, we're right over here, as I say, right? We came down. Right over here, we came down. Right over here, we came down. Right over here, came down. But last night, I don't know what happened, right? But we never come down. We went up. We went above it. Does it make sense? All right, we went above this resistance, a horizontal resistance level that we have been trading below for almost a year. All right, so we have gone back above that 93. Now it's 93.26, right? So I think it looks definitely, when that happens, is a meaningful price action. All right, it's a meaningful price action. I mean, it's only one day, like it's only one night, right? But that could be the start of something, right? So I think you want to watch it, right? Of course, I've set my alerts. I think I want to watch it. I could set my alerts, let's say about 94, 95, 94 point something, 95 point something. But I think if you can stay above this 92 or $93 tonight or maybe next week, it could be the start of a much firmer, all right, uptrend. By aside from this, I mean, this movement sideways for the past 2, 3, 4 months, the upside momentum can return. We could really start to see more strength, right? And just let me just do a little bit of a extrapolation to project kind of like the upside targets based on the consolidation we have seen over the past 3 to 4 months. What we could kind of like do a little bit of a projection. Well, I would say keep it simple, maybe to $100 lah, a bit lower lah, about $100. That could be kind of like the next upside targets, whereby we may see some selling coming back again. All right, so this is the stock that you put in your watch list. We have got out of this very critical resistance level. Potentially, right, buyers may return, right, in larger quantities, right, especially if we stay above that 92 to even 93 new support level. All right, so that's my first bonus stock today. Let me pass on the mic to Z to cover her bonus stock. Z, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so Joey actually shared a bonus stock that's in the utility sector, right? So let me just share my screen right over here. And the bonus stock that I want to share with you guys today is actually in the consumer non-durable sector. And this, the sector, definitely, this Philip Morris is in the tobacco and nicotine sector. But the trend for this particular stock, and this stock has actually been covered, I think, a few times in our past AMA session as a bonus stock as well. And we would like to recover it again because it is actually still strong, right? Because like what we have mentioned, we look at the trend first, right? And we look at this trend, it's definitely a very beautiful chart compared to, some of the charts that goes up and down, up and down. But this is a very classic textbook uptrending chart as well, because we can see that it goes up, consolidate, up, and consolidate, right? That is a very classic textbook uptrend. Every time in an uptrend, there is a consolidation. It's not a bad thing, right? It's actually, in fact, a good thing because that is what makes an uptrend sustainable, okay? And let's zoom in on Philip Morris. Let's take a look at it. So for Philip Morris, definitely uptrend remains intact, right? Longer term uptrend, longer term trend, red and the blue line still pointing up. Short term trend, we actually do see some sideways consolidation. It has been flattening out, and like what I mentioned, consolidation in an uptrend is a good thing, right? Before it actually break above a resistance, push even higher, that is a good thing. Okay, so we actually also do see a 1GT bullish signal right over here on the 23rd of April, right? And there is still no exits yet. There is still no exit yet. Okay, and let's talk about the support and the resistance level, right? So very clearly, the support level right over here, I would say, is about this 160, right? Psychological support. Previously, that was where, a consolidation actually happened again from February to May, right? Prices consolidated sideways, and this was where, when the price actually near this 160, this level right over here, we actually start to see some selling pressure return. Same thing happened right over here, right? And then we get a 1GT bearish signal happening, and eventually it managed to break above somewhere in April. Prices came back down, selling pressure came in, prices came back down, and this period over here, it was tested as a support level, right? So I would say 160 would definitely be the immediate support level that we are actually looking at. And perhaps that's where you can actually also set some price alert, right, to notify you, because I'm not too sure if price will actually go back all the way down to 160 for you to actually accumulate your positions, right? I'm not too sure if it will go back down, but that's where you can also set some price alert to notify you, right? To notify you. And in terms of the resistance wise, let me just change this quickly to red color. Okay, so I would say that resistance right now would be somewhere near the 185 level, right? Because this was where over the past month, since end of May, throughout the whole period of June, that is where we saw that price actually kind of consolidated sideways, moved sideways for a bit, and it's always near this 185, right? It has just between this 175 to 185, this $10 range, right? And if prices can consolidate and break above this 185, I think potential upside targets, right, would be towards the $200 psychological level first, right? Because right now, price is definitely at an all-time high, and one of the ways that we can actually project a next target, one of the ways is to actually use psychological round nice number, because that is where it would not be surprising if sellers were to sell or queue their sell order near such round nice number, 199, 199.95, 199.90, near the $200. So I would say this level right over here, it could be some level, it could be a zone, it could be a potential zone where you can also consider to take some profits if you're already in position and prices can break and hold above the 185. All right. And if I were to just quickly turn on this trailing support and resistance right over here, right now, we can see that, trailing support has also been consistently moving up, right? It has been following the prices moving up. And right now, prices is actually, in fact, pretty near to this trailing support. So apart from just now, like what I've mentioned, right? Near this level right over here, 160, which is the support level, right? This is definitely one of the areas where we can potentially position ourselves for entry, set some price alert. The other area could also potentially be at this level right over here. But of course, irregardless of which level that potentially you would decide to place your position for entry, right? Despite which levels would that be, always remember to have a stop loss plan in place, all right? To protect your downside. And also remember to have, it's okay to actually take some profits near the resistance, especially when prices approach back to this resistance level right over here. There's nothing wrong to actually take some profits near this level. All right. So these are some of the zones and these are some of the levels that you can take note for Philip Morris. Definitely, it still look pretty bullish and it is still in our watch list as well. All right. So that will be for Philip Morris. And right now, I'll pass the time back over to Joey.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So that is pretty much, guys, the two bonus stock I'd like to share with you, right, guys? So very simple, guys. I'm going to do a quick coverage of all the stocks that we covered today, even the market as well. So in case you miss any of those stocks, right, what happens is that you can watch the replays on my YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And I can watch the replay when we go live as well. You will be notified, right? And very simple, guys. As I say, today what me and Z have covered would be the entire one good trend strategy. I mean, we are analyzing your stocks using this strategy, but as you can see, we quite fast. We just pump, next, pass the mic to each other. We don't have the time to cover the whole strategy, the whole sequence, the whole process, the whole step-by-step thing. Don't have time, right? So if you want to find out a little bit more about the entire one good trend strategy and perhaps how you could have an indicator like this, I mean, like what we've been using to analyze your stock, right? Bullish signals to guide you to get in as a confirmation, plus a few other confirmations we look out for. Attend one of those free webinars, right? The link is right in the chat for the final time. The link is right in the chat. That is pretty much how you can learn a bit more on the entire strategy and how you could have a tool like this to help you not just about getting in, but also to know when to get out. All right. Okay. So let me go to cover very quickly, right? All the stocks that we've covered today, right? The market S&P 500 index, the Dow Jones, Micron, Amazon, SOFI, technology, right? Agilian Technology, NVDA, Coinbase, Robinhood, Williams Company, C Limited, ST Lauder, Taiwan Semiconductor, Dave Incorporated, Enfino Corporation, Spotify, QuantumScape, SPDR Gold Trust, CRWD CrowdStrike, SERV Robotics, I think the code is SERV. We have Oracle Corporation, IREN, IREN is the code. Safton Companies, the bonus stock that I covered, and Z just covered Philip Morris, PM. All right, so that is pretty much the end of today's session, guys. And let me know, guys, how many of you are clients of mine in Philip Securities, whereby you are getting some of my top ideas by WhatsApp daily. Just type C, guys, type C in the chat. If you are a client of mine in Philip Securities already, let me know. Just type a C for client. Let me know, right? Type C for client. If you are a client of mine, you have a trading account under me in Philip Securities and you are getting our daily updates, ideas by WhatsApp. Let me know. Type C for client. I think most of you should be clients, but some of you might not be a client, right? You might just be scrolling through to know why you're here. So, all right, let's see who's a client here. Mitch, hi, Grace as well, Andy, me, Energized Boot, Jared, Klein, Peter, Klein, all right, Klein, C. So thank you so much for your support as well. So just want to share a little bit more in case some of you are not yet a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities and you're not getting our daily updates and ideas. So today I think I got my team to send out a stock on I think Singtel, right? Singtel. I think I got my team to send out a stock on Singtel with a WhatsApp out to my team. So if you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, guys, and you want to get some of those top ideas by WhatsApp daily, for free, all right, for free. Z can place the link in the chat, right? Just check it out. The link is right in the chat. So especially if you are trading, I mean, you probably need a trading account to buy and sell stocks, right? So I'm not too sure where you're trading, right? But every time I hear thing, I know good stuff coming, right? And yeah, so I think this morning we sent out a Singtel. Check it out, right? But essentially, if you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, you have a trading account, you log into your platform, you buy and sell some stock, don't know what stock, nobody care about you, nobody send you any idea, nobody send you any training, nobody WhatsApp you, nobody care about you, you got to call a hotline, wait for 5 minutes. Then you click on the link in the chat to find out more, all right? And you can also hear something, all right? And then some good stuff coming. You can focus on some of the ideas for free, like some top ideas we share with our clients in Philip Securities for free, right? So that is the link in the chat, right? So I think, yes, that's it, guys. We have come to the end. I just want to make, just share that point. I think we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for just being over here. All right, next Friday, we'll be looking back at the Singapore market and we look forward to see you there as well. We look forward to see you there as well in the Singapore market AMAS session. So, yep, link in the chat again. My link in the chat, you can join us next Friday, same time, 10:30 a.m. back to the Singapore market. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much for the support. If you're a client of mine in Philip Securities, if you're not yet, hopefully we'll work together, all right? And I can share with you some of those top ideas as well, right? And I look forward to share more with you in a webinar as well, all right? If you want to know more about my One Good Trend strategy and the One Good Trend Pro indicator. First, last, how to get the WhatsApp? Well, the link is right in the chat. I'm not too sure where you're trading. Become a VIP client of mine in Philip Securities to get some of those services for free. Right, Joey here. Z, anything to add?
Thanks everyone for joining us. I hope to see you guys again in the next session. All right.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye.